without an assistant chief. That position has not been filled since Lenny Sanders resigned from it in June of last year. The council approved promotions to lieutenant for Nathan Conrad, Nick Carlson, and Ben Wayner. From Radio Iowa, the 4th of July holiday left American Red Cross chapters in Iowa with a critical need for blood. Red Cross spokeswoman Sue Thiesinga says the agency tries to make it as easy as possible for Iowans to help out, as there are blood drives around the state daily.
Donate if you can. All types are needed right now. So if you visit our website or our app, all you have to do is put your zip code in, and you can find a blood drive that's conveniently located.
During the long holiday, many routine blood donors took some time off for vacations, which left supplies strapped.
The Red Cross has less than a 3-day supply of most blood types and less than a 2-day supply of type O. We really strive to keep a 5-day supply on hand at all times.
Search for blood drives in your area by visiting redcross.org. Owens Corning Platinum Contractors are partnering with Twin Rivers Habitat for Humanity to provide new roofs to homes of military veterans in need and their families as part of the Owens Corning Roof Deployment Project. Local contractor Rojon Home Improvement began work to put a new roof on the home of U.S. Navy veteran Linda May today. Rojon manager Mike McCarville said, "We're honored to be involved in such a special project for Miss May, and we want veterans to know how thankful we are for their service and how appreciative we are of their sacrifice." Chris Frias from Twin Rivers Habitat for Humanity said it's inspiring to see the community rally around a veteran and bring this project to life. This is a testament to our community's devotion to helping those in need. For more information or to learn how you can get involved, visit www.roofdeploymentproject.com. In sports, the St. Edmunds Gales softball team will be in action tonight, taking on AGWSR in Ackley in the second round of the playoffs. The Gales got an 8-3 win over Riceville on Monday. You can hear all the action of the Gales taking on AGWSR. First pitch scheduled at 7 p.m. That game over on Sunny 99.7. Fort Dodge softball with a doubleheader sweep last night of West Des Moines Valley. The Dodgers got a fourth-inning explosion for 7 runs to propel them to a 12-10 win in the first game. In the nightcap, pitching and defense the difference, a 6-2 victory over the Tigers, as Haley Wills was on the mound and went the distance for the Dodgers, allowing just 2 runs on 7 hits over 7 innings of work. The Dodgers are back in action on Saturday night in the first round of the playoffs at Harlan Rogers. That's your Alpha Media News and Sports update for today, July the 10th. From the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. High of 78 this afternoon under mainly cloudy skies. Winds out of the northwest 20 to 25 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies. Tonight, lows dip down to about 61. Mainly sunny again. Tomorrow, high temperatures reach up to 80. Upper 80s Friday and Saturday with a chance for scattered storms Saturday. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 78.
Have you ever wondered how the brain works? What makes us tick? Join me, Greg Woods, every Wednesday morning for all the latest news on the brain, on aging, and the science behind it all. It's The Mind Boggles, every Wednesday morning at 8:30 on AM 1400 KVFD.
Have the talk of the lifetime with the ones you love.
Grandma, this card asks, when did you get a TV and what was your favorite show?
I think around 1950, they had a Fort Dodge TV station that had a local barn dance show every Saturday night. Oh, honey, it was so much fun. They'd play instruments, we would sing and dance.
Sharing stories and memories with those who matter most isn't just important today, it will be especially significant when it's time to honor a life lived. Contact Gunderson Funeral Home to learn more about having the talk of a lifetime.
To keep your vehicle running at its best, keep up with routine maintenance. The certified service techs at Humboldt Motor Sales make maintaining your vehicle easy. They offer convenient hours and competitive prices on all service and parts. And they take care of your GM warranty needs too. From oil changes to tires, brakes to batteries, engine repair and transmission repair, Humboldt Motor Sales can handle it all. Have your vehicle serviced soon at Humboldt Motor Sales. Log on to HumboldtGM.com to schedule an appointment now or call 800-566-8671.
Michael Devine, the mayor of Manville.
It's a fancy title for a part-time job.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
That's right, I'm Michael Devine, and this is AM 1400 KVFD. I've been unnerved recently. People desire my death by bee sting. Yes, there are those in our area that hope a bee stings me and I die. Because it's my fault, Dr. Menke, for not carrying an EpiPen in the first place.
You should have two of them, one in each pocket.
I should.
Yeah, you should. They're getting cheaper, I think.
Rather than criticize the bee for doing what bees do, it's incumbent on me to carry an EpiPen because I'm allergic to bee stings. And if a bee stings me, well, it's my fault then.
That's right.
Nobody
to blame but yourself.
That's right. Twisted liberal logic. I say, whoever wrote that must be on the women's soccer team.
Wow. Yeah.
So I am a great defender of public art.
Yes, you are.
I was sitting around Old Boston with some public intellectuals not long ago, as a matter of fact, about 2 hours ago. And we were talking about how terrific public art is. Yeah. There is a question of a 10 by 6 pig out on the roundabout on 10th Avenue North.
You're underestimating the size of our Floyd.
Underestimating Floyd.
He's about 15 feet long, about 14 feet tall, about 6 foot wide. It'll be beautiful.
That sounds disgusting.
No, it's actually Daryl Merrill is the artist that was selected, and he does
great. He can do a pig. Can he?
Can do a pig.
Would it be better to highlight the game and the events around the game, where the Iowa players were particularly annoyed, irritated, and angry that one of their black players and friends had been attacked by Minnesota the day before?
And we tried.
I don't know how we can do that with a 15 by 14 by 6 pig.
Well, we tried that. If you may recall, about 6-7 years ago, there was a plan to create a enclosed shelter with an interpretive walkway north of the aquatic center in the ground up there that the city owns.
Interpretive walkway.
Yeah, interpretive walkway. Well,
we don't have to go that crazy.
Yeah, well, now you do, because there's a lot of side stories. You know, you've got the L. Loomis, you got the family that what was her name? D'Avalon that married. There's a lot of
there's a lot of local history,
and
but
Ronald
it's
Reagan,
not exactly state
Reagan.
history. It's not, it's not something that everybody gives a damn.
Well,
about.
yeah, I know it, but you got a pig. I gave you one. And
I do have a small pig, and I took it home with me. It's on my desk.
Yeah.
Or the small table I use.
It's the history of the story. And again, Mr. Flattery's been working on this for some time.
Dave's a good guy.
And he's an Iowa State supporter. We're getting a lot of kickback from people that say, well, this is honoring Iowa. It's not. It's about the story. And I think it's a good story to hear. Again, it's a connection to our past that I think is very important. And we're hoping if we get enough money raised by the 1st of August, and you can send that money to Community Foundation, Floyd of Rosedale. Basically, the artist wants to get going on it, and we want to wheel it out during the Iowa-Minnesota game down in Iowa City this year, which would be kind of cool.
God almighty.
It'd be good publicity.
That is a huge pig.
It's a
sculpture. If you want to talk a direct connection to our history, cleaning out the hog houses is another direct connection. Do you want to have a couple of guys out there with shovels or something?
Well, that could be interpretive. Yeah.
There's no interpretation there.
Yeah.
That's Realville.
No, it's a cool project. And again, it's something to do with the history. I mean, you got the Cardiff Giant. What are you going to do? Put him on the roundabout? This is a part of history that we need to recognize. Giant. Yeah. Well, that's part of our history.
Yeah, it is.
And I think it's
6th Street was part of our history. I just assume we do something with the old saloon district.
Yeah, there you go. But no, I think it's going to be a very interesting project as it develops. Again, we're not going to be using any city funds from this. Yes, we will be working with Public Works probably to help get some lighting set up and running some cables and stuff. So there will be some incidental expenses, but we're hoping to raise all the money outside of the taxpayers' support.
I'm sure that'll do it. I mean, there is a problem with looking across the roundabout to see who else is in the roundabout.
Yeah, but see, that's not an issue. If you talk to the engineers, and I was talking to the engineer on Monday night about that.
15 by 14 by 6, not an issue.
No, because they do not think, well, the roundabout, you're not supposed to see people coming across from you. You're supposed to be looking to your left to see who's coming in the roundabout. So the cross visibility of the roundabout is designed not so you're distracted by people coming onto the roundabout, you should be paying attention to the person on your left. So you always
The person
yield.
on your left?
Yep, where you always yield. You always yield to the person in the roundabout, so they don't want you to be distracted. So the roundabouts are designed.
The roundabouts, people enter the roundabouts if you're in the roundabout. Don't they come from your right always?
From your right? No, I don't know how you're going through them. You must be from Manson.
No,
you must be from Sexton.
Good point. I'll tell you, Calhoun County people freeze up when they see those roundabouts.
Kevin Twait's on our committee, and every time he shows up a couple minutes late because he gets lost in the roundabout down on Fifth Street on the way to our meeting. So, no, it's to the left. People are coming to the left.
I thought the pig will be to my left as I go around the roundabout.
Well, the pig will be on your left. Yeah, it will be in the center. We're still debating a
So
little bit which direction it's going to face.
if the pig is to my left, if I'm in the roundabout, how are cars coming from my left?
What, when you're entering the roundabout, if you're heading north on 32nd,
I'm not entering, I'm in it.
Well, you're in it? Well,
in
okay.
it.
If you're in
and
it,
I
then
want to
you-
look and see what's coming or
You don't-
what's on the next one.
Well, theoretically, the ones that are coming on have to yield to you anyway, so hammer down.
Yeah, they don't always do that.
I know it. but
I
it's
don't
after-
always yield, by the way.
Well, that's good. Good thing to brag about. We'll be watching for
I'm
that.
not bragging about it.
We'll be watching for
I'm
that
just-
Durango.
I'm just sharing my humanity.
That you're flawed.
Wasn't it wonderful, those women's soccer players? By the way, a mid-level high school team beat them, last year? I think so, yeah.
Oh, that's exciting. I mean,
Men's high school.
Even Trump got
Boys
excited.
15 and 16 beat them last year.
Yeah.
But they are superstars right now. I'm sorry,
Made
what were you
America,
saying?
They made America proud.
They
Yeah.
really? Wow.
Well, I'm just saying that this hog, pig, Floyd of Rosedale, it's got a lot of history. It's a valuable history. The Loomis family and the story of the hog is, I think, an interesting part of Fort Dodge's history that we need to recognize and carry on. So, I mean,
Well, there's public art like the old Cargill elevator, which was
Uh-huh.
terrific, and the clock really is
Yeah.
pretty good. Then there's public art. I think we talked about this before, like
Yeah.
the naked angel on a trike
well,
down in the Merle Hay Mall with a well-endowed angel.
well, look at the statue of David in Sioux Falls. I mean, it's the same thing. You got the exact replica of Michelangelo's statue of David.
Anatomically correct,
Yeah,
isn't it?
absolutely. And it's right between the 10th Street and the 11th Street Viaduct. So when you come into downtown Sioux Falls, you've got David off to your left as you come over to the bridge. And there was a lot of controversy about that 25, 30 years ago when that was first put up.
Some
And-
naked Greek guy with a tiny little eyeball.
Yeah. I didn't want-
I can't imagine why that would have caused some controversy.
Yeah. Well, they actually, when they took it down for refurbishing the park down there where the statue stood for a number of years, it was placed in storage, and they actually had, repeated discussions about where they wanted to put it again, because it's, but again, it's a classic piece of artwork, and every piece of artwork is there to stimulate discussion.
Stimulate.
Yep. And that's what the Floyd of Rosedale is going to do. It's going to stimulate discussion. And it's not,
I can just hear the discussion. What the hell's that pig doing in the roundabout, Myrtle?
Yeah.
I don't know, Harold. Don't we have enough hogs out in the country already?
No. You look at the 150th art piece, and there's controversy.
The
over that.
150th art piece.
Art piece.
Yeah, what does that mean, by the way? We discussed that.
It was interpretative.
Yeah,
I actually met with the guy that's designing that. Eric Anderson brought him in. He's a friend of his.
All right.
From UNI, and they do this, and that will be done in place by September. So you'll get a chance to, see that.
Will anybody know or what this means, or do we all get to interpret it by
Well,
ourselves, or what?
I'm sure there'll be some interpretive panels there or something. I don't know, but it reflects the history. It's got the river kind of represented on it. They got the gypsum industry represented on it. And it's to show where.
How will we know what the gypsum?
Well,
where the gypsum industry?
Well, you're supposed to look at it and interpret it. That's what art's all about.
While we're driving around it, or what?
No, you're not going to drive around this. You'll drive by it. It'll be on your right or your left, depending on which way you're going. No, but remember the controversy over the mural art. I mean, every time we do something, it seems like there's a lot of discussion.
There's a contract. You sold me on that Cargill elevator. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about it.
And it's going to get better. We're working on a trailhead down there.
But I don't know.
walking on a
There's
pathway.
not much to interpret about a pig.
Well, again, it's going to be interesting.
And it was very clear what the images on the elevator were.
Yes,
very clear.
Well, you'll be very clear to see that this is a pig too.
Well,
It's
the
a replica.
150th anniversary interpretive piece, whatever that is, I have no idea what that means.
Yeah, I wasn't part of that committee. That was Lydia and Dave Flattery again, and I think Eric was involved with that. And again, that was all privately
Dave
funded.
is really getting into this art stuff.
He is, yeah.
He never struck me as the artistic type.
No, well, he can't play baseball anymore. He's getting too old, so he's getting into art. But
well,
according to Mulholland, he couldn't play baseball in the first place.
Well, that's because Mulholland was a little jealous. Of Dave's athletic prowess.
Just can't get over it, huh?
No, he just can't get over it.
Yeah.
No.
But I mean, public art is always controversial, and it's nice to see people talking and thinking and discussing things other than streets and potholes. I mean, it takes their mind off of.
You think this will take me?
No,
I don't know, Terry. I think the pothole situation and the
Never
crumbled
gonna
up
go
street. No, and it'll never go away.
Yeah,
buddy.
but again, it's gonna. You can't judge it until it's done. And I think once this is done, and it's, I mean, we would love to go back to the original plans. We'd love to have the shelter house. We'd love to have the interpretive path. We'd like to be able to develop and tell the story the way that it was originally designed. But, a variety of issues came up, primarily financial, because it is more expensive to build a shelter house. But again, there's no reason that Floyd of Rosedale would have to stay in the roundabout if we were able to raise the money and move it over to the Rosedale, closer to the Rosedale farm. But this was just a concept for visibility and basically allowing us to tell a story. And it's a good story to tell.
That you can tell to people driving by in their cars.
Yeah, well, people on the trail. There's a lot of people on the trail, and people will park and walk over and look at it. And there's a lot of a variety of stories associated with Floyd of Rosedale that I think, show Iowa to be a great place to live and play. And I think, the rivalry with Minnesota and the fact that trophy is still there after a long time, 1935 was when it was originally brought in, and the story is out there. And I said that guy that made those replicas, like the one that you got, the ornament one, I mean, we bought a bunch of those, and, he had 50 of them in stock. So, I mean, obviously he's selling more than just to us. So it's a good thing, and I think a proud history for Fort Dodgers to embrace.
I think a lot of questions are going to be asked about this, and they're going to sound something like this. Why are we spending money on public art when we should be providing health care to illegal aliens? What do you think?
Well, I don't.
I got that in there, didn't I?
Yeah. You always go somewhat off topic. Yeah, that's fine. No, but it's.
I thought I was on topic.
Yeah. Well, again, there's a lot of things that are changing in the community. Public art. We did have the vote on Monday night about the Public Art Coalition, which is now going to be a public art commission through the city. It's going to be a group of people representing a variety of interests in the community. The Fine Arts Association, which got smart and kicked you off their board, the Iowa Central Community College, Main Street Image Committee, the Alliance, Growth Alliance, Blandon, Deerdorf, and Smeltzer will be represented. And then we have a couple of general members. Blandon will be a liaison. The planning department will be a liaison. We'll have a council member, Nikki Conrad's going to be on there representing the board of supervisors. CVB will be on there, and then 3 members of the youth in the community will be also involved in that. And they're going to be more or less guiding some of the acquisition and care. And that's the big thing. We've got 150. Yeah, we got 150 art pieces in Fort Dodge, public art pieces right now. And we do not have any kind of maintenance plan for those. And so the long-term planning is
that is a problem.
Yep. So if when we still are in the discussion phase about the funding of this commission, we would like to be able to utilize some funds from some capital improvement plans. And again, that's still under discussion. Nothing's been hammered out yet, and that will be discussed over the next few months. But half of that will be taking care of the sculptures and statues that we have in town that have been neglected. There's a couple of them down in front of the library that are kind of greenish, and I don't think they're supposed to be green. They're supposed to be pretty
greenish.
Yep. So this is a step forward. I know there was some concern. Mr. Holter expressed some concern Monday night. He didn't know if we were duplicating the efforts of the Fine Art Association. And, I think we all agree the Fine Arts Association has been a great asset for the community. They've done a lot of work. They continue to do a lot of work. The webpage obviously is very busy with a lot of activities. I've always looked at the Fine Arts Association to be more performance oriented, with the plays and musical performances and also some artwork. But the Public Art Commission will be more or less permanent, semi-permanent art pieces, sculptures, and hopefully some murals in the future throughout the community that the city will be responsible for maintenance and upkeep on a lot of those things, and we just have never had a plan. So right now we're working towards establishing a plan where we can preserve what we've got and add to our inventory so that over the years we can beautify empty public spaces. And I think that's a good idea. But again, we're moving forward with that. There's still a lot of discussion to go on. We've pretty well narrowed down who's going to represent each of the groups, and we've been meeting, well, actually, since the silo art thing went down here a couple years ago, it's pretty much the same group of people, and we're involving the foundations that support public art as well as the people that are the visionaries in art in the community. So hopefully we're never going to be Santa Fe, I don't think, but again, we've got a good start.
I don't want to be Santa Fe.
You don't want to be?
No, not really, man, unless it's January.
Yeah. Okay. But there's a lot of exciting things happening, and I think it's going to be an asset for our community to make us look a little bit more friendly and be an economic development driver in the future. Hopefully we can entertain people when they come and keep them here and get them out to our revitalized mall area as time goes on, and hopefully get them to spend more money so we can fix our roads. Isn't that a dream?
That's a dream.
Okay. So, but other than that,
that's a hallucination.
No. You have to have the right attitude on that. So anyway,
I got to get my mind right. Huh?
I got to get your mind
all right.
Yeah, a lot of the work is going on. As you know, if you drive down Fifth Avenue South, they paved there last week. They're going to get the roads painted. I think they're expecting to be pretty well done with that 32nd and 5th South intersection. Should be pretty well wrapped up by the end of the week. We're hoping, if the weather cooperates. I think Castor and Asphalt and Smitty's been out there doing some work.
Jordan Castor.
Yep.
He is the man.
Good man. Yep. And they finished up on 15th Street. The trail, they got everything's
Did they?
pretty much back to normal. I see they striped a walkway across 15th Street the other day. So
Jordan's a good man.
Yep. Actually saw some people. I was heading out north of town, and there's people riding their bikes. I don't really like having them that close to the road, but we didn't have a lot of choice when we built that trail. So if you utilize that trail, be very careful, because those cars sometimes get a little distracted.
And some people who ride bikes think we have to look out for them.
Yep, they get distracted too.
They get distracted.
Yeah, but again, they're out there doing their thing, and we want them to use the trails. That's why they're built. A lot of work being done by Olson Park too on the trails. There's been a couple wet spots down there, I guess, but the trail work, the concrete work is progressing, and they're actually working on the pathways through Olson Park right now, connecting the bandshell deer enclosure over to the splash pad. So you'll see Jensen over there doing a lot of the sidewalk construction. The pond work has started again. They're digging the pond down. Hopefully we'll get that pond pretty well wrapped up by fall, and I don't know if we'll get water in it or not, but I mean, the intention is to get some of the rough end work done so we can at least tell what it's going to look like when it's done. And then we'll work on some plaza areas, seating areas, and continue to work on reviving that small, I don't know if you want to call it a zoo, or, I don't know if that's going to happen again the way it did in the past, but there will be
What will happen, Terry?
I'm hoping that
you're unsure of what to call it.
Well, I don't think it's going to be a zoo.
What are you, liberal?
Yeah, could be. But I think it's
identity means nothing. We have no use for personal identity. We don't get off on that.
As we talked about before, I would like to see miniature farm animals brought in. I think it'd be cool to have miniature horses, miniature pigs. Here we're back on the pig again. Miniature cows. I mean, there's miniature.
Yeah, the neighbors will love pig manure all over.
Yeah, and then we get some 4-H kids out there to kind of watch over the animals and buy them in the spring and dispose of them in the fall. That's the way you should do it.
Dispose?
Well, take them back to the farmers. Lease them if we have to. I don't think the city wants to get into animal.
All right. Well,
ownership.
we'll have to get Greg Hora in here and talk about a lease.
Yeah, he could probably bring out some miniature pigs. Probably make more money on miniature pigs. My niece bought a miniature pig for $2,500. So actually had him at our ribbon cutting for Floyd of Rosedale.
Bought a miniature pig for $2,500. I could have bought a few pigs for that much. And
litter trained. Bought it from California, flew it out here. Was litter trained and certified.
Flew a pig out here from California.
Yep. Lives in her house up in Sioux Falls.
The pig lives in the house.
Yep. She's got a bedroom all by herself. Her name is Dolly. Yeah. It's a strange animal, but that's
Yeah, it is.
I didn't say it
Does
was.
the pig get nervous when she fires up the grill or what?
I don't know.
I
I
don't know.
don't know. She's a nice pig though.
She throws some pork burgers on there. The pig might get worried about her,
She's not
frying
that-
up the relatives or
She's not
something.
that big. She's
All right, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
At AM 1400 KVFD.
Okay, we're deep into pigs here today. Greg Horace not even in the studio, won't be here today. Kyle Larson from Humboldt will be, and we'll be talking some pigs in the next hour. We'll talk more pigs with Councilman Terry Minke for some reason in the next segment. You're listening to AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Thank you very much. You're brave, very brave.
If my words did glow with the gold of sunshine, and my tunes were played on the harp strung.
You can dance, having the time of your life. What? Oh, okay. It's a commercial for an ABBA tribute, not an actual ABBA tribute. Gotcha. Don't miss ABBA Revisited, the #1 ABBA tribute in the world. Friday, August 23rd at Wild Rose Casino and Resort Jefferson. Tickets available now at the Iowa store and online at wildroseresorts.com.
Connect to this radio station from all across the country. Take us to the gym, shopping. How about a road trip? Listen to us now on the free iHeartRadio app. You'll never miss a moment with your favorite radio station. Download the free iHeartRadio app and search for this station so we can go wherever you want us to.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom. I'm Rob Jones. A Webster City doctor has admitted to making false statements to the United States Attorney's Office regarding Medicare claims. Radio Iowa's Dar Danielson with more.
76-year-old Joseph Latella admitted to lying about the claims he billed so he could be paid at the highest rate possible when he worked in private practice and as a medical director for several nursing homes in the Webster City area. U.S. Attorney's investigation indicated Latella was billing more than 93% of his nursing home visits to Medicare under the most expensive claim code and falsely claimed he spent the time required for that level of billing. Latella's reached a plea agreement will pay around $108,000 to Medicare and $9,200 to Medicaid for the losses caused by his false claims. He faces a maximum of 5 years in prison, $250,000 fine once a sentencing date has been set. Radio Iowa, I'm Dar Danielson.
The Fort Dodge Fire Department received approval at Monday's City Council meeting to add another lieutenant to each of its shifts. The fire department has been the only ambulance service available in Fort Dodge and the surrounding area since last July and was in need of the additional positions to handle the influx in workload. Fire Chief Steve Hergenreiter said that recently in one day, the department responded to 2 fires and 30 medical emergencies. The chief says the positions will save the city about $3,000 per year by being able to operate without an assistant chief. That position has not been filled since Lenny Sanders resigned from it in June of last year. The council approved promotions to lieutenant for Nathan Conrad, Nick Carlson, and Ben Wayner. From Radio Iowa, the 4th of July holiday left American Red Cross chapters in Iowa with a critical need for blood. Red Cross spokeswoman Sue Thiesinga says the agency tries to make it as easy as possible for Iowans to help out as there are blood drives around the state daily.
Donate if you can. All types are needed right now. So if you visit our website or our app, all you have to do is put your zip code in, and you can find a blood drive that's conveniently located.
During the long holiday, many routine blood donors took some time off for vacations, which left supplies strapped.
The Red Cross has less than a 3-day supply of most blood types and less than a 2-day supply of type O. We really strive to keep a 5-day supply on hand at all times.
Search for blood drives in your area by visiting redcross.org. Owens Corning Platinum Contractors are partnering with Twin Rivers Habitat for Humanity to provide new roofs to homes of military veterans in need and their families as part of the Owens Corning Roof Deployment Project. Local contractor Rojon Home Improvement began work to put a new roof on the home of U.S. Navy veteran Linda May today. Rojon manager Mike McCarville said, "We're honored to be involved in such a special project for Miss May, and we want veterans to know how thankful we are for their service and how appreciative we are of their sacrifice." Chris Frias from Twin Rivers Habitat for Humanity said it's inspiring to see the community rally around a veteran and bring this project to life. This is a testament to our community's devotion to helping those in need. For more information or to learn how you can get involved, visit www.roofdeploymentproject.com. In sports, the St. Edmunds Gales softball team will be in action tonight, taking on AGWSR in Ackley in the second round of the playoffs. The Gales got an 8-3 win over Riceville on Monday. You can hear all the action of the Gales taking on AGWSR. First pitch scheduled at 7 p.m. That game over on Sunny 99.7. Fort Dodge softball with a doubleheader sweep last night of West Des Moines Valley. The Dodgers got a fourth inning explosion for 7 runs to propel them to a 12-10 win in the first game. In the nightcap, pitching and defense the difference, a 6-2 victory over the Tigers, as Haley Wills was on the mound and went the distance for the Dodgers, allowing just 2 runs on 7 hits over 7 innings of work. The Dodgers are back in action on Saturday night in the first round of the playoffs at Harlan Rogers. That's your Alpha Media News and Sports update for today, July the 10th. From the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. It's 2:38 in the weather. Sunny today, high 78. Exactly where we are right now. Overnight, slight chance of rain. Mostly cloudy with a low of 60. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 80. Friday, sunny with a high of 90. Saturday, a chance of a thunderstorm. Mostly sunny with a high of 88. Sunday, sunny with a high of 90. On Monday, it'll be sunny with a high of 92. Tuesday, mostly sunny with a high of 91. Right now in Fort Dodge, 78 degrees at AM 1400. KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. Marjorie Peck has passed away. Services for Marjorie Peck will be at 11 o'clock in the morning Sunday at Gunderson Funeral Home. Visitation is from 5 to 7:30 Saturday at Gunderson Funeral Home. Services for Dr. John Sear, Barbara Jo Weigert, and Ivan Holloman are also at the Gunderson Funeral Home website. Ivan Holman, The obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. Councilman Terry Menke is in the studio. We'll talk with Councilman Menke in just a couple of minutes. Right now, it's 2:39, 78 degrees at AM 1400 KVFD. With a look at the closing market report, here's Dwayne Murley.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. July corn up 2.5 to 4.34 1/4. September up 2.5 cents to 4.35. December up 2 1/4 at 4.39 1/2. March up 1 3/4 at 4.46 1/4. July soybeans up 10 1/4 at 8.93. August up 8 1/2 at 8.94 1/2. September beans up 8.5 cents at $9 1/4. November up 8 1/2 at 9.12 3/4. July wheat closed up 2 cents at 5.11 3/4. Soybean meal up 1.20 a ton at 3.0910. August live cattle down 50 cents at 107.62. October down 32 at 108.97. August feeder cattle down 52 cents at 142.35. September down 27 at 142.85. July lean hogs up 37 cents at 71.75. August up 2.65 at 81.72. I'm Dwayne Murley.
Sounds like you've got the crud. Cough, fever, sinus pressure, body aches. What should you take? Which over-the-counter medicine is best? You sure don't know, but the people at Daniel Pharmacy do. The pharmacists and technicians at Daniel Pharmacy are ready to help. They drop what they're doing, ask you what you're looking for, go down the aisle with you, and help you find the best medication for your symptoms. Daniel Pharmacy, caring for you and about you for over 50 years at 1114 Central Avenue, downtown Fort Dodge.
As the nation's leader in pork production and pork exports, Iowa's pork producers are doing things right. It's their ethical and moral responsibility. Hog farmers keep their pigs safe and healthy, safeguard natural resources, protect public health, and build strong communities every day. Pork quality, responsible production, and continuous improvement are roles they take very seriously. Iowa's pork producers, producing safe, affordable food. Sponsored by Iowa's pork producers and their pork checkoff.
The Webster County pork producers remind you when it comes to protecting their family's health, Iowa's pig farmers are some of the most concerned people around. Safe, affordable, delicious, and nutritious pork can be served for your dinner tonight. Roasted, grilled, stewed, sauteed, stir-fried, broiled, kebabbed, sauced, dipped, sandwiched in your new recipes and your old recipes. Why not buy some pork today and serve it up tonight? This message brought to you by the Webster County pork producers, striving to serve people, pigs, and the planet.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mitchell Crema. I'm committed to helping people reach their full potential through natural means so babies and children can grow and develop to be happy and healthy. So adults can enjoy family and work while aging gracefully, and athletes of all kinds can prevent injury and improve their performance. I am Dr. Mitchell Crema, and I look forward to helping you be the best you can be. I hope to see you soon at Active Health Chiropractic in Fort Dodge.
Trust in Active Health Chiropractic and feel better today.
If you don't listen to him, you suck.
He's sneaky, but he's right.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Boy, you think I'm sneaky? You ought to check out Terry Mickey here. He's sneaky. He's a sneaky guy. However, you seem to be the most informed city councilman on the council right now, with the exception of Dave Flattery, perhaps. And I wouldn't say that Dave exceeds you. He's just in your...
You're just judging
in
that.
the league.
You're just judging that because the two of us are the only ones you ever see, because everybody else is smart enough to stay away.
Smart enough?
Yep.
Yeah, it could be that, or they're not smart enough.
Oh. All a matter of perspective.
Oh, is that what it is? I think it's verified by measurement.
Yeah. Well, a couple things.
Research, Derry.
Yep,
You're a research beast.
Yep. I tend
do the research on that.
I write notes on notes. Yeah, I want to wish Cat Stevens a happy birthday this week. 71 years old.
Is he still Cat Stevens? I thought he was Abdullah somebody.
Yeah, he's somebody. They wouldn't let him in for his rock and roll induction into the Hall
Why?
of Fame because he was Muslim. He was on the watch
because he
list.
was Muslim.
Yeah, he was on the watch list.
That's right.
Yeah,
he was on the watch list.
Yeah, they wouldn't let him in.
That's right.
He's still performing. I'd love to get him here. Get him out of Iowa
I
Central.
liked his music. I don't know what happened to him.
Well, he
major rock star, can have all the girls he wants, and he turns into the celibate guy.
Love. Peace and love.
Peace and love?
Yeah, that's what he is. Peace train, I loved his music. I still I play it all the time. I've got.
I thought maybe they prevented him from coming because he might have one of those suicide vests.
No, it's probably his shoes there.
From love,
yeah.
A religion of love and
That's
faith.
right.
There is no difference between cultures.
That's
You
right.
redneck white person.
That's right.
Just because people blow themselves up in public places doesn't mean they're bad people.
That's right. We did have a meeting Monday night. I guess the highlight for me is that they're going to start working on First Avenue South and 15th Street. The bids are coming in. August 6th is the date. The public hearing will be on the 12th of August. That's intersection. They're going to start probably in September, and I think they're supposed to be done with a lot of the work by the end of the year. We'll see how that goes. But 16th Street will be torn up for about 45 days or so for a sewer line.
And long.
So if you have anybody on 16th Street you want to visit, you may have to figure out how you're going to get there. But the fire station is getting a new sewer line. They'll get new water and obviously new street and some sidewalks, hopefully, over in that area.
Surely.
So that'll be interesting to watch that. I don't know the exact cost. I think the original estimates were in that $3 million range. And that's...
is this for the pig out of by the...
No, it's not for the
No,
pig.
okay.
Well, we should put a pig there. That'd be a nice place.
Should put a pig
Yeah,
there.
it would be a great place.
Why don't we get that sculpture that was in the Merle Hay Mall of the well-endowed angel on a tricycle?
No, I don't think so.
Stick them downtown City Square.
But anyway, the traffic flow is going to change on 15th Street as part of the planning with the state, and we got some money from the state. You're probably going to see that intersection become very similar to 25th and 29th. It's going to be more or less a 3-lane road going with the turning lanes going north-south, and you're going to see a little bit of a shift in the patterns there in front of the fire station. So it's going to change. So as time goes on, obviously, I'm sure we'll hear about that people tend to really support change, but it's going to be interesting to see the traffic flow because it does get quite congested over there, especially around 5 o'clock for about 6 minutes. So it's important to keep that traffic moving. The other thing we talked about on Monday, had a lot of additions to our engineering group. I would strongly encourage anybody, if you have children that are in high school or early in their college career, being an engineer is a great way to make lots of money. That's all I can say about that. They do make a lot of money.
What? Not as much as optometrists.
Oh, a lot
you
more.
make all the money in
more.
the world.
And plus they get to play outside. They get to dig holes, they get to poke and prod. It's a great
That sounds good to you, sitting in your office there?
Yep, in the dark room. Yep, absolutely.
Right next to the Steve's Dairy Queen or whatever the hell it is.
It's Snack Shack.
Snack Shack.
Yeah, Snack Shack.
Steve still owns it, doesn't
Yep.
he? Steve's pretty
Steve
cool.
Springer.
I
Yep.
go down there.
He's there all the time.
Steve is? I've been
roll
down there
in.
a few times this summer. I've never seen him.
Well, I roll in normally about 6:30, 6:45, and he's always over there doing something. He gets up early, and I think he goes over there and counts money. I don't know what he does, but he gets everything ready for the day, and he's normally there for probably an hour or more every morning. But it's real early.
Well, I'm not ready for an ice cream cone at 7 o'clock in the
What's
morning.
wrong with you? I thought maybe you'd be ready.
No, it's usually got to be later in the day. Frankly, I know I'm a little unusual. Probably says something about me.
Yeah, in the day you'd probably be over there. If it was a bar, you'd be over there having a beer at that time.
I was. As a matter of fact, the beer garden used to open up at 6.
6 a.m.
Mhm.
Oh, geez. I suppose that was for the workers at the packing plant.
Well, as a matter of fact, I lived down on 20th Street, and the Chesterfield would open up at 6. And I would get off work at 6. And by the time I got there at 7, the place was packed.
Yeah.
I mean, there was chili feeds going on. The jukebox was happening. People were singing. Old Abe Castagnoli was telling jokes and singing along with the jukebox. It was wild.
Yeah.
It was the best time of day. I go home about 9:30 in the morning with a Jag on.
Crash and get up and go to
Crash
work.
and get it up. Go to it again. Those were the days in Fort Dodge. I tell you, those were great.
I don't know if those.
I'd
days
stop
we
down
wanna
here
get-
at there used to be a cafe in a building right between 11th and 12th. The building's gone now, but I'd go in there, and a lot of guys from the mills would come up there, or Hormel,
Mhm.
who had just gotten off work, and there were some interesting conversations that would probably be labeled as racist and sexist by
Oh.
today's standards.
Terrible.
Some of the guys would look out the window at passing girls and comment on them.
That's terrible.
Terrible, terrible.
But
The downfall of Western civilization. Thank God we had the Hillary Clintons of the world to save us.
geez, we almost made it an hour without bringing her up. too.
Yeah, really. Well, that's a pantsuit Patty there.
Yeah.
She
Well, we did
save us all.
because of the expansion of the work at the fire department with all the EMTs and all the calls that they're getting over there, and they do get a ton. I mean, it's over 3,000 calls a month that those guys are handling now. And
How many?
Over 3,000 a month between the ambulance and the fire department. There's a ton of them.
Wow.
And we
Remember,
did-
got his fire department, didn't he?
Yeah, we promoted 3 new lieutenants, and that for the shifts because of the EMS services. The lieutenants, they got a captain, lieutenant on each shift, and so Nathan Conrad was promoted to lieutenant. Nick Carlson and Benjamin Weiner were promoted to lieutenants, and those are 3 long-term. Nathan's been there longer. Nick's been there, I don't know how many years, probably 6, 7, 8 years, and Ben Weimer has been there about the same amount as Nick. Nick graduated with my son from St. Ed's in '98, so I've known Nick for a long time. He's always been a great guy, and I think he's been a very good supervisor over there and also a firefighter. The guys look up to him. The other thing we talked about Monday night, the netting out at Harlan Rogers. You being a baseball fan, I'm sure you've seen some of the recent problems that they've had in the major leagues with the balls going into the stands. And that one guy, I think it was the Cubs, wasn't it, to put one down first baseline and hit some kid in the face or something.
Oh,
here not
yeah,
too
that
long ago.
was-
That's
Yeah, that's
terrible.
no
And-
good.
Yeah. And so they've been working on this. They've done some work out there with the nettings, and it turned out real well. And now they're going to expand it. There's some discussion as far as I'm not involved in that, even though I go to a lot of Parks and Rec meetings. I haven't heard too much about it, but I know that there's been some concern about the next phase. I think the indication is that they want to keep protecting the people in the stands. The stands, obviously, people get distracted with their cell phones and everything else, and other kids, and sometimes don't pay attention to what's happening on the field. And even though these are little kids, those balls still click in there pretty good. I'm sure you've been out there and seen some of those pitchers throw that ball pretty hard, and the hitters are pretty good. So those foul tips can be devastating if they get up into the stands. So anything to provide safety for those people watching the game. I think, there's still room for improvement out there, and we hired Snyder to do a little bit more work on the netting, and I know Lori's been pretty involved with that. So hopefully we can get more netting put up. I don't know if we'll get done this year, but hopefully by next season. If you drive by, you've got an old rusty Durango, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
What year's your 96 or something?
2000.
2000. Well, yeah, and we appreciate that because you burn a lot of gas or road use tax money.
I do, as a matter of a fact.
We thank you for that. But the fire department.
Weren't for that old thing, I wouldn't get to work some days.
Yeah, because you are like 2 blocks away. You
Two.
couldn't walk it. No, that'd be terrible.
Yeah. You walk it, Terry.
Yeah, I would walk it.
You would you? In
Sure.
my neighborhood, sure, you go walk it.
I've walked them from my house to my office a couple of times. But anyway, we did buy a new Chevy Tahoe 4x4 from Chemna Auto for the fire department. They have a Durango over there that's not in very good shape. I said, you drive by and they got all these shiny vehicles and they got the Durango sitting out there that's a little bit rusty. So it's nice to see that they're going to upgrade that. I don't know what they're going to do with that Durango. I don't know what kind of serviceability it has. In the good old days, they used to give it to engineering and let them drive around in it, but I don't know if they're going to do that or if they'll just junk it or do something. I don't know what they're going to do. And the concession stand out at Harlan Rogers is complete. Woodruff got that done on time. And hopefully they're using it out there. I think there were a couple little things that they had to sign off on, but the new concession stand is complete out there. So that should be good for all the people that go out there and support the softball and baseball players. So other than that, we did talk a little bit, and I know you talked with David about the TIF money that we had for the Sears project. Blessing Brothers came to the city and they want to knock down and redevelop that 6.5 acre site. I think it's 6.5 acres. They have a potential person that's interested in building a building in a small portion of that, about 1.5 acres, and the other half, whatever's left, 5.5 acres or so, will be redeveloped also. We did put a condition on the TIF money that we would have to see some kind of a site plan for that. We want to make sure the access to the mall is maintained, and we also want to make sure that there's development there that the community wants to support. So the good thing about using TIF money for these projects is we get the project done to start with, because as you know, that Sears store is not very good looking.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, there's trees growing up where there shouldn't be trees. There's the parking lot's not very good. The building itself, the roof fell in part of it last year. So,
I know.
It just hasn't been maintained. And when they shut down 15, so it's been 3 or 4 years since there's been anybody in there. And so we're working with Blessing Brothers on that, and they will demo that. I don't know what the time frame is on that. Hopefully sooner than later. They'll get that knocked down, but they will not get any money for the improvements until they build. So it's basically built. They have to perform in order to get any kind of cash back, and they are paying administrative fees back to the city, and they're also paying back based on tax increment, which means that whatever's there, that money that's generated by the new buildings will pay off the money that we're going to give them. Not necessarily give them, but it's just basically a loan that will be repaid with future development. So if they don't do anything, they won't get any money. So they've got to do something. So if they knock it down and they don't rebuild, then they're basically knocking it down for themselves. But there's a lot of potential out there. I remember I moved here in the early 80s, and we were the retail draw of north central Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of lost that in the last few years. And,
we lost that several years ago, actually.
And, we need more retail in Fort Dodge. There's debate over what we actually
need. More people in this area.
Yeah, well, we got to get the draw. And I think once we get the draw in, we're probably losing a lot of shoppers that are going to other communities. When your highlight of your visit to Fort Dodge involves visiting Walmart, I don't think that's desirable. desirable place to go. I mean, if you need necessities, I guess 24 hours a day, it's convenient. But, when you look at the development we've done in the past with Kohl's and getting Marshalls in, Hobby Lobby, there's a lot of different stores, but those big box stores like that they just really have a hard time cutting it in these smaller communities. So we're looking for small niche markets. It'd be nice to have a Best Buy, a Costco, a Sam's Club or something come into town, or a Lowe's. I mean, any of those things, but we're just not big enough. We don't have, if we had the draw.
That's right. That's what I mean. We need people in the area is what we need.
We need people to return to Fort Dodge. We need to have them. They need to come and look at our public art and shop.
I mean, look at the population of the surrounding counties that used to shop in Fort Dodge.
Yeah, look at Pocahontas County.
Geez. Well, Pocahontas, and again, I've mentioned this several times on here. About 10 years ago, it was known that Calhoun County and Pocahontas County had more people percentage-wise over the age of 80 than any place in the world.
Right.
Not in the country or the Northern Hemisphere, in the world.
So that's a big place.
That's a big place. Yes, it is.
Yeah. So again, I mean, we realize that everybody's got needs, wants, and desires. I mean, there's definitely
needs, wants, and desires.
Yeah. Well, there's you look on the internet, and I mean the Facebook posts and the buildings and things people want. I mean, it's one thing to want them, but the other thing is we have to support them once they get here. I mean, you can't have businesses come into town. I mean, it'd be nice to have a bookstore, but are we going to support it when we can get Amazon to deliver it the next day? I mean, it's very difficult.
You know about bookstores, don't you?
I know about bookstores. I know about record stores. I know I know a little bit about the internet and the effect on small businesses. It's very difficult to compete. But again, I think
you had a nice little bookstore downtown.
Yeah,
too.
We did. We bought it from the Nelsons, and we ran it for 4.5 years and lost a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were open 7 days a week. We were, on Sundays, we were the only place open until about 2:00 in the afternoon. Used to get the Chicago Tribune in, and, everything was doing well. And the post office decided they didn't want us to come by and pick up the papers anymore. So we had to wait until they were delivered instead of us actually going out and doing the work.
The post office does want to dictate our lives.
They yelled at me one time. They were sitting on the counter, and I went down to get them. And one guy, basically yelled at me and told me I wasn't paying to come down there to pick them up, that it had to be the carrier deliver them. Well, I don't know if you know how big the Sunday Tribune paper is, but it's about 300 pages. I mean, that's a book. I mean, it's huge. Yeah. And I said, you want the carrier to carry this newspaper around all day and deliver it? And he goes, well, that's what that's what you're paying for. And I said, well, that's stupid.
No.
That's stupid.
That's really stupid. Yeah.
And I said, here I am. I'm sitting
there.
That's
justifying a job or adding more things.
I said, I drove down here. I parked. I walked in. Give me my newspapers. And he said, no, we have to wait for the delivery guy. And I said, well, that's stupid.
That is stupid.
Yeah. But again,
it was stupid to move the post office clear the hell out there where it is now.
I remember.
And then close the downtown location.
I remember
they don't give a damn.
I was talking to Bob Singer when he was over at the chamber years ago.
Bob would know. Bob knows all.
I tried to get him to, we tried to get them to keep something downtown, and they had the post office's boxes down there where Dave Madsen's office was for a while. But that it was busy downtown, but now it's, you got to drive all the way out there. You have to contend with the traffic. And of course, with the construction, it's just been a mess. And getting to the post office is very inconvenient. So
it is.
We need to get something.
But they don't care.
No, they don't care. They wonder why they don't make any money.
No.
But they don't care.
They don't care. They'll demand we pay them anyway.
Yeah.
How does that work? I mean, that's public sector stuff.
I don't know.
I mean, when your bookstore went down, did you petition the government for aid or anything?
No, I remember I got called from the Messenger. They wanted to come and interview me, and I said, "Where were you at when we were trying to keep things going?"
Yes, where were you?
Why all of a sudden are we newsworthy when we failed? I wasn't real proud of that. But it was just one of those deals. I mean,
maybe you could have contacted. Well, you know the story.
Well, now with Main Street, we might have been able to make it.
Terry Minky's been our guest. It's 3:00 in the afternoon. You're listening to KVFD in Fort Dodge, Iowa. Thank you very much.
The purpose in this case was to bring Epstein to jail, to put him behind bars.
Labor Secretary Alex Acosta defended his role as the U.S. attorney in Miami and signing off on a plea deal that led to just 13 months in county jail for financier Jeffrey Epstein at a time when he had been facing the possibility of life in prison.
I don't think we can say, take a case that is this old and fully know how it would play out today.
Acosta cast blame on the lenient sentence for the sex crime charges on the Palm Beach, Florida State Attorney's Office, and he refused to offer an apology to the victims in the case. At the White House, John Decker, Fox News.
Apologies for the technical difficulties at the start of this newscast. That is the argument the Labor Secretary is making. He's defending his handling of a sex abuse case as a federal prosecutor more than a decade ago against Jeffrey Epstein. Alexander Acosta also today again expressing support for the new federal case against Epstein in New York. Democrats say Acosta should resign or be fired. A week after the body of a missing university student was found in Utah, prosecutors announced charges against the suspect, including murder and kidnapping. Evidence of Mackenzie Lueck's burned remains and belongings had been found in the suspect's backyard. They also have evidence of communications, text messages between the two just before she went missing. On Wall Street, stocks started the day with records and ended higher, the Dow up 77 points. This is Fox News.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. I've got great news. Mortgage interest rates have dropped. So if you're thinking about buying a home, right now is the time to lock that low rate, even before you find the home of your dreams. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
An ambassador who's become a presidential target in the U.S. over leaked communications steps down.
Britain's ambassador to the U.S., Sir Kim Darroch, has resigned after President Trump fired off a series of tweets attacking him on Tuesday. In his resignation letter, Darroch said, quote, "The current situation is making it impossible for me to carry out my role as I would like." President Trump had made it clear he wouldn't work with Darroch after confidential memos from the ambassador criticizing the administration were leaked to a newspaper on Sunday. Darroch had since been frozen out of recent high-level meetings, making him effectively persona non grata in the White House.
Fox's Kitty Logan in London, where the British Prime Minister still supported Darroch. The leaks remain under investigation. A federal appeals court is ordering a lawsuit accusing President Trump of profiting from the presidency to be tossed out on a technicality, lack of jurisdiction. The president, though, suggesting in a tweet that it's a win over what he calls the Democrat-induced witch hunt. Someone's trying to take advantage of rattled nerves in Southern California after 2 strong earthquakes last week.
The Orange County Sheriff's Department says 4 people living in the city of Aliso Viejo reported getting a call from somebody claiming another huge quake was coming and that they needed to evacuate. Authorities say the county does not have any alert system like that and that it's likely part of a scam to get you out of your house so somebody can break in while you're not there.
I think the people that are doing this should be prosecuted. It's horrendous.
I hope they get caught and arrested. So far, nobody's fallen for the scam. The U.S. Geological Survey says the region will see a bunch of smaller aftershocks and that the chance of another big quake continues to decrease. Ken Duffy, Fox News.
Recapping Wall Street, the Dow up 77 points at the bell, a record close for the NASDAQ, finishing at 82.02, and oil prices soaring, back over $60 a barrel. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom. I'm Rob Jones. A Webster City doctor has admitted to making false statements to the United States Attorney's Office regarding Medicare claims. Radio Iowa's Dar Danielson with more.
76-year-old Joseph Latella admitted to lying about the claims he built so he could be paid at the highest rate possible when he worked in private practice and as a medical director for several nursing homes in the Webster City area. U.S. Attorney's investigation indicated Latella was billing more than 93% of his nursing home visits to Medicare under the most expensive claim code and falsely claimed he spent the time required for that level of billing. Latella's reached a plea agreement will pay around $108,000 to Medicare and $9,200 to Medicaid for the losses caused by his false claims. He faces a maximum of 5 years in prison, $250,000 fine once a sentencing date has been set. Radio Iowa, I'm Dar Danielson.
The Fort Dodge Fire Department received approval at Monday's City Council meeting to add another lieutenant to each of its shifts. The fire department has been the only ambulance service available in Fort Dodge and the surrounding area since last July and was in need of the additional positions to handle the influx in workload. Fire Chief Steve Hergenreiter said that recently in one day, the department responded to 2 fires and 30 medical emergencies. The chief says the positions will save the city about $3,000 per year by being able to operate without an assistant chief. That position has not been filled since Lenny Sanders resigned from it in June of last year. The council approved promotions to lieutenant for Nathan Conrad, Nick Carlson, and Ben Wayner. From Radio Iowa, the 4th of July holiday left American Red Cross chapters in Iowa with a critical need for blood. Red Cross spokeswoman Sue Thiesinga says the agency tries to make it as easy as possible for Iowans to help out, as there are blood drives around the state daily.
Donate if you can. All types are needed right now. So if you visit our website or our app, all you have to do is put your zip code in, and you can find a blood drive that's conveniently located.
During the long holiday, many routine blood donors took some time off for vacations, which left supplies strapped.
The Red Cross has less than a 3-day supply of most blood types and less than a 2-day supply of type O. We really strive to keep a 5-day supply on hand at all times.
Search for blood drives in your area by visiting redcross.org. Owens Corning Platinum Contractors are partnering with Twin Rivers Habitat for Humanity to provide new roofs to homes of military veterans in need and their families as part of the Owens Corning Roof Deployment Project. Local contractor Rojan Home Improvement began work to put a new roof on the home of U.S. Navy veteran Linda May today. Rojan manager Mike McCarville said, "We're honored to be involved in such a special project for Miss May, and we want veterans to know how thankful we are for their service and how appreciative we are of their sacrifice." Chris Frias from Twin Rivers Habitat for Humanity said it's inspiring to see the community rally around a veteran and bring this project to life. This is a testament to our community's devotion to helping those in need. For more information or to learn how you can get involved, visit www.roofdeploymentproject.com. In sports, the St. Edmunds Gales softball team will be in action tonight, taking on AGWSR in Ackley in the second round of the playoffs. The Gales got an 8-3 win over Riceville on Monday. You can hear all the action of the Gales taking on AGWSR. First pitch scheduled at 7 p.m. That game over on Sunny 99.7. Fort Dodge softball with a doubleheader sweep last night of West Des Moines Valley. The Dodgers got a 4th-inning explosion for 7 runs to propel them to a 12-10 win in the first game. In the nightcap, pitching and defense the difference, a 6-2 victory over the Tigers, as Haley Wills was on the mound and went the distance for the Dodgers, allowing just 2 runs on 7 hits over 7 innings of work. The Dodgers are back in action on Saturday night in the first round of the playoffs at Harlan Rogers. That's your Alpha Media News and Sports update for today, July the 10th. From the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD Weatherology forecast. High of 78 this afternoon under mainly cloudy skies. Winds out of the northwest 20 to 25 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies. Tonight, lows dip down to about 61. Mainly sunny again. Tomorrow, high temperatures reach up to 80. Upper 80s Friday and Saturday with a chance for scattered storms Saturday. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 77.
So you sit down and you do your budget and you look at all your monthly costs, your bills, your income, and it seems like there's never quite enough. You know what would help? What would really help? Finding $500 a month to help balance things out. And that is the typical savings, $500 a month for a family when you switch to MediShare for your healthcare. MediShare is a Christian healthcare sharing ministry, and it works. No wonder more than 400,000 people are doing this now. And look, whether you're single or married or you have kids, this can make sitting down to do a monthly budget a lot more fun. Just think what you could do with $500 a month. It can cover a car payment or pay back loans or whatever. Join MediShare and go out to dinner to celebrate. Find out more. The MediShare people are so easy to talk to. They can answer any questions. They're super friendly. Call 844-47-BIBLE. That's 844-47-BIBLE. 844-47-BIBLE.
The iconic sound of Harley Davidson. And it sounds even better when it's yours. Heat up your Saturday nights in July when you earn entries during Hot Harley Nights at Wild Rose Casino and Resort Jefferson. Check your mailer and wildroseresorts.com for bonus entries. Hit the road this summer on a new Harley Davidson that you won at Wild Rose Casino and Resort Jefferson. You'd rather be here.
Must be 21 or older. If you or someone you know needs gambling treatment, call 1-800-BETS-OFF. Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I'm Michael Devine. Yes, we're going to make radio great again this afternoon. It's a beautiful afternoon. And, of course, this portion of the program brought to you by the Webster County Pork Producers. Now, I don't know if we have a Webster County pork producer with us right now, but we certainly have a pork producer. We welcome back to the program Kyle Larson. How are you, Kyle?
I am good. Our pigs are raised on the Webster County side of the line.
They are?
We just live in Humboldt County.
So are you a Webster County pork? I mean, are you a member of the organization?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And this is Abby, your wife, of course. Hi, Abby.
Hi.
Are you a member of the Webster County Pork Producers?
I am through marriage.
I am a member of the Webster County Pork Producers, an associate, of course.
Oh.
But I'm a member of the Pork Producers and the Farm Bureau and I think Corn Growers. Yeah, the only one I'm not in is the Soybean Association, which means Dean Coleman will come down here with an application form. Yeah, just go ahead and write out the check here, Mike, which I'd be willing to do. But anyway, yeah, Kyle and Abby are not traditional pork producers. Would you describe your operation, Kyle?
We are about 200 sows plus or minus farrow to finish. We raise all our pigs outdoors, commonly in like hoop barns or deep bedded type systems. But we farrow indoors in a farrowing pen though, but always in a bedded environment and in a pen environment.
In a what sort of environment?
Bedding environment.
Okay, so bedding environment.
Bedding, nesting material. So they always have to have access to bedding in some sort. And it's a pen environment. So we sell to a higher retail market. So the customer and consumer is requesting a higher protocol, and we are audited by a GAP, it's called, Good Animal Practices. They have GAP stages 1 through 5, very common as GAP 1. And the company we sell to requires GAP 1.
Okay. All right. Kyle has been on before. This is the first time you've been on, Abby, you know?
Yes, it is.
How have you enjoyed your time? I don't think the first time Kyle was on, you weren't married. You guys weren't married yet.
We were engaged, probably.
We were engaged, probably. Yeah, I'm sure you were engaged. But how have you? Is this the type of work that you're a graduate of Iowa State? Is this a sort of work that you envisioned or you like to do now? Kyle's laughing already, so apparently not.
If you ask 90% of college grads if this is their current situations where they thought they were going to end up, they'd probably tell you no. So, no, I definitely didn't think I would be involved in the antibiotic-free, all-natural pork production industry, but here I am.
Yeah.
It is definitely interesting to be involved in that niche market and watch how we are handling our animals and what environment we place our animals in as opposed to what's the norm. And it's been fun to learn both sides, excuse me, and just be involved with something bigger. And I just wanted to add the GAP certification that Kyle was talking about. This is an audit process that actually started with Whole Foods. A group there that they worked with different
Full Foods, did you say?
Whole Foods.
Whole Foods, I
Whole
beg your
Foods.
pardon.
So the GAP initiative actually started with Whole Foods and has expanded to be an industry-wide standard that producers can adopt.
Okay. All right. I want to tell you something. When you're 18, 19, and you have a dream or a vision of how your life's going to be, that changes fast, and it'll probably change a few more times. Trust me on that one. Trust me on that one. Anyway, Kyle and Abby Larson are here, and we're real glad that they consented to come on. I just got a hold of Kyle this morning, and he very generously agreed to come on down. But you were teaching a class here recently.
Not necessarily a class. Farm Bureau was teaching a class, a 2-day class.
And you're a member of the Humboldt County Farm Bureau?
Humboldt County Farm Bureau, because Abby and I live on an acreage on the Humboldt County side, and I went to school and grew up in Humboldt. But Farm Bureau hosted a teachers academy. So teachers have to go to school during the summer to maintain continuing education credits.
Okay.
Teachers go to school during the summer, and then they teach what they know during the school year. So our Farm Bureau hosted an Ag Day, Ag Knowledge Teacher Academy, and they listened to different presentations during the morning, ranging from pork to new crop and agronomy to anything going on within Webster County on a larger scale ag basis. And they also went on some tours. They went to Cargill. They went to the winery. They say a good way to get teachers to come to the classes and at the winery.
Yeah.
So, but they had to listen to the boring parts of presentations. And Greg Horan in the morning talked right away about commercial pork and how was pork a safe and wholesome food. And then I got to cap it off at right before lunch talking about niche markets and how this niche market program it's real, it's out there. It might only be 5 to 8% of the total sector, but the farmers are in your backyard and the pigs are raised within Iowa. So,
and you're a niche market pork producer.
Yep. So one thing that's kind of fascinating alone on the niche market basis is show pigs also are niche markets. It's a small sector.
Show pigs are a niche market?
Yeah, show pigs, because it's a small sector of pigs, but has a huge impact on youth. Niche markets alone are not just outdoor pigs or organic pigs or all natural or even Berkshire pigs. So it goes on a wide range.
I don't know. How do you make money with show pigs?
You're a breeder, and it's not always on the money side. It's more about the education side.
All right.
So as a show pig producer, as a youth, it kind of depend on how you approached it. But my goal was always to break even with the pigs at the end. Because
so you do it for exercise.
Well, it was all about the exposure and the process of trying to win and the competition side of it. Because something that's really neat is the vendors from the county, like John Deere would come in, IH, even Fairway and Hodgslide would come to Humboldt County, and they would pay for the pigs at the auction. And they pay a large premium for the pigs and the opportunity to buy the 4-H showman's pig.
Mm-hmm.
And I had that experience a couple of years ago. We got to buy a couple of pigs, as we say, pay back the opportunity to the fellow youth. And Abby and I purchased a couple pigs at the auction ourselves, and to show that how much 4-H had a big impact and FFA had an impact on myself. And for a lot of us, and me as an individual, it was a stepping stone. And it's fair season, and it's a very fun and exciting time for the youth that are getting ready to show at the fair.
All right. Abby, did you, as far as your major from Iowa State, what is your major from Iowa State?
So I have my bachelor's in food science.
Food science. Okay.
Food science. So
all right.
I was going to tie this in with Kyle's class. It's really important for teachers to be teaching kids in the classroom a little bit about where food comes from. I learned when I was growing up, I understood that milk didn't just come from the grocery store. It came.
Could I stop you just for a moment? Kyle, would you move your microphone over? I'm sorry that I didn't know that microphone was so lousy.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, I'm sorry we're going to have to share, but as you were saying, I'm sorry.
So with my degree, I got a more in-depth experience learning about how food products get developed. What is the difference between a higher cost ice cream and a lower cost ice cream, and how bread is produced, crackers, chips, and all of that.
I'm glad you brought up that ice cream stuff. I'm a fan. So what's now that you're married a pork producer, I'm sure that you're more on that side now.
Mm-hmm.
What do you what's your job in your partnership? Of course, by your partnership, I mean your marriage.
So my role in the partnership on the farm side of things, I've learned as a farm wife There are only certain tasks that I will help with.
Mm-hmm.
Since I'm significantly shorter than my 6'3" husband, I
Yeah.
help with a lot of the baby pig work, moving pigs around. I will not help with construction or anything
No, I don't believe you
manual
there.
like
No,
that.
no.
But I do have the fun of helping prepare the cuts of pork that we do get when we send hogs to custom butcher for our own needs. So I've developed a lot of good rib recipes, pork tenderloin recipes,
Mhm.
and when we do go to certain events, I can help explain the quality that you may get from a niche market hog versus a
Commercial.
commercial.
Commercial,
Thank
there
you.
we go.
Sorry, lost of words.
Don't worry about being on that microphone. The only one listening could be my mom. But so when it comes to, and I'm asking these general questions because I think people are interested on
Yeah, sure.
how a farm couple in the year 2019 lives as opposed to maybe in the past. So when it comes to borrowing money, maybe, or investing money, is that a mutual decision?
It is.
Okay, all right. Is he hard to convince, or?
She's the hard one. When it comes to farming, she's always the conservative one.
Well, and thank God that exists, really. I'd have flown off the end of the earth years ago.
Well, I'm also the one when it comes to tax season. I'm the one who's going through all of our receipts, deposits, bank accounts, making sure that everything's filed under the different sections. What's supplies, what's crop, what's feed, vet bills. That way, that all gets accounted for come tax season. And I'm looking at that account every day, and I kind of nudge him of like, hey, what's this check for? What was this check for? Did you need to spend that?
I don't mean to get into gender stereotypes. I do not, but I still think women are far more organized than men are.
And trust me, he needs it.
There's no doubt. That's been around for a while. I understand that all the way. Kyle, you were going to say something?
I was gonna say it's a lot of fun, and it's almost a stress relief with the fact that Abby has a very good accounting mindset, and she loves numbers, and she loves Excel spreadsheets, and it's kind of was fun. The first year we moved up here, we were engaged, and I kind of got her more exposed to the books and how to
Mhm.
prepare for taxes and all that, and she just took full reins over it, and it was almost a relief for me because I felt like it was one less thing on my to-do list, and she enjoyed it and had fun with it, and now together we both have a full understanding of everything going on.
Boy, if you can merge your talents that way, man, you got that. That's a good thing.
She reminds me that my bots is teeny tiny because I'm brainstorming outside the bots as we're expanding and doing things and come up with a new latest idea. And
all of you watching on YouTube just saw Abby make a very small box there.
as I'm always an outside the box type person, and she is more of an inside the box type person and tries to keep me reeled into reality.
Well, you are outside the box, Kyle. Just at the time when pork producers, especially, well, in the last 10 years, especially, there has been an explosion of hog buildings in our state, maybe in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And that has been pork production in Iowa. I mean,
Yep.
big, and it keeps coming, and it'll be even more so now that we have Prestige Farms.
It is. It's very exciting. It's also a labor shortage, and we have noticed it when we look for hired help. We have one full-time guy. His name is Evan, and he's been with us since August 1st of last year. So we're very excited. He's coming up to his full 12 months, 1 year completion, and we're excited for him. And he's excited for our track record of where we're headed with things. And it's been a good partnership with him. And we've gone through many different hired hands over a short term. Over like 3 months, we went through 5 different guys trying to find one to sit. And
what was the problem? What is the
Um,
problem? And I've talked with a lot of agricultural people, labor shortages, or can't get people to pass drug tests, or on and on and on.
Or the 100 excuses why they can't show up. Our problem was outdoor environment. They wanted to be inside. They didn't like the heavy workload that can come and go.
There is physical work involved.
They didn't like the hours, and it's just the whole show up attitude. We learn, and we.
I don't mean to laugh, but that just sounds funny to me. I just that's called working, having a job.
So
everybody does it, don't they?
Yeah. This young individual, he was graduating high school, and I went to college with his brother, but college wasn't his thing, and he just decided he wanted to work, and he loved pigs, and his parents kind of nudged him towards livestock because that was his livestock, and animals was his thing, and he's come a long way. So he went from only driving a mower to driving skid loaders, tractors, and everything. Dad had the patience to teach him. There were some times there was jokes between Dad and I of, oh, Evan's driving the tractor, you're going to deal with it. So, because Dad had more patience than I did, because I had a to-do list, and Dad is retired from farming and just helps attitude. And
that comes with age too. I didn't have
it does. He's 67 and enjoys his retirement. So
yeah.
But as we grow as a business and have changed, hired help is something that's always on the forefront. And our farm has gone through a lot of changes in the last 12 months to 24 months, and we're always growing. I guess something you might not know, our family purchased all the Sparbo sites. So there's a lot of change coming up. In
your family purchased the Sparbo site?
So my brother and I.
Oh, really?
Purchased the Sparbo sites.
Now there's one in Vincent?
No. Claire.
Claire.
So all around the home farm.
Oh, okay.
So we
you went up that way.
Yeah, that's where our farm is up there.
Okay.
So all the grower sites that surround the Claire area, we purchased a year ago, April, and including the manure facility, but not the highway farm. We did not purchase the highway farm. That is still Sparbo property.
The highway farm on
169.
Okay.
So, but we bought 5 grower barns, and
those ones west of Clara there, you bought those? Or?
Yep.
Okay.
North and west and
right,
east, all around there. Yep. So we purchased those, and we have put nursery pigs in one barn, and we hope to have 1,800 nursery pigs constantly in that barn. And we're potentially working on putting 3,600 nursery pigs in another set.
So you've made the step to commercial production, large scale personal.
No, it's still outdoor. It's still bedded barns. So
it's what?
It's still going to be a niche market bedded facility.
Okay. Abby, do you want to say something? I'm sorry.
The biggest difference between our production versus your commercial production is commercial duck production has slats. So all of the waste, as we'll call it, drains
Goes
down into a pit.
Yeah.
We don't have that. So our pigs are in deeply bedded pens. We put round bales that are filled with straw from the field. And in the wintertime, once you get that mix of the straw and the waste, it creates a really warm environment, and the pigs get a little bit more fiber, and they get to run around a little bit more.
Say that again. That's interesting. Yeah, describe that process again as far as the difference between what we have now and what you're going to have.
So commercial barns
Yes.
have slats where all the waste drains down into a pit.
Right.
That requires very little labor because those barns essentially clean themselves, where our barns, it's concrete plus straw bales that we put in there. And over time, you get a deeply bedded system when pigs' waste mixes in with the straw to create a bedding. And it's particularly nice in these cold Iowa winters because just through basic biology, geothermal heating, those barns keep themselves fairly heat with the addition of heaters. But that's the main difference between the barn steps, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. It does make sense. I guess, are we going back to cleaning the barns? Is that what we're doing with a Bobcat, or what are we doing?
That's exact. We just did that yesterday.
Well,
in fact,
in my youth, a farmer used to pay us to do that. Only we had shovels. That was work. I'll tell you, it took all day. That was work. That was another time. I was a teenager then.
young and carefree.
Well, yeah, and young enough to be able to do something like that all day. Yeah, again, we didn't even have the Bobcats then, but farm work's a lot easier. I mean, technology makes our lives easier. I mean, in fact, I want to talk about that as far as your operation is concerned when we come back. We're talking with Kyle and Abby Larson, husband and wife team, and they are pork producers in Humboldt County. We'll be back.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
Actually, some of Kyle's pigs are in Webster County as well. The news and weather coming up. This is AM 1400 KVFD.
Connect to this radio station from all across the country. Take us to the gym, shopping. How about a road trip? Listen to us now on the free iHeartRadio app. You'll never miss a moment with your favorite radio station. Download the free iHeartRadio app and search for the station so we can go wherever you want us to.
Iowa hog farmers have a lot to be proud of.
Proud of the quality products we put on tables around the world.
Proud of the strides we make to protect Iowa's natural resources.
Proud of the number of Iowans we're able to employ in safe workplaces.
Proud to protect and promote animal well-being in everything we do.
Iowa pork producers are proud because they do it right. And that's something all Iowans can take pride in.
Sponsored by Iowa's pork producers and their pork checkoff.
Iowa's pork producers work hard daily to produce safe, affordable food. Through the industry's We Care initiative, hog farmers are firmly committed to doing things right. That means keeping their pigs safe and healthy, safeguarding natural resources, protecting public health, and building strong communities. Producers fully understand the importance of pork quality, responsible production, and continuous improvement. It's the moral and ethical thing to do. Sponsored by Iowa's pork producers and their pork checkoff.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom. I'm Rob Jones. A Webster City doctor has admitted to making false statements to the United States Attorney's Office regarding Medicare claims. Radio Iowa's Dar Danielson with more.
76-year-old Joseph Latella admitted to lying about the claims he built so he could be paid at the highest rate possible when he worked in private practice and as the medical director for several nursing homes in the Webster City area. U.S. Attorney's investigation indicated Latella was billing more than 93% of his nursing home visits to Medicare under the most expensive claim code and falsely claimed he spent the time required for that level of billing. Latella's reached a plea agreement will pay around $108,000 to Medicare and $9,200 to Medicaid for the losses caused by his false claims. He faces a maximum of 5 years in prison, $250,000 fine once a sentencing date has been set. Radio Iowa, I'm Dar Danielson.
The Fort Dodge Fire Department received approval at Monday's City Council meeting to add another lieutenant to each of its shifts. The fire department has been the only ambulance service available in Fort Dodge and the surrounding area since last July and was in need of the additional positions to handle the influx in workload. Fire Chief Steve Hergenreiter said that recently in one day, the department responded to 2 fires and 30 medical emergencies. The chief says the positions will save the city about $3,000 per year by being able to operate without an assistant chief. That position has not been filled since Lenny Sanders resigned from it in June of last year. The council approved promotions to lieutenant for Nathan Conrad, Nick Carlson, and Ben Wayner. From Radio Iowa, the 4th of July holiday left American Red Cross chapters in Iowa with a critical need for blood. Red Cross spokeswoman Sue Thiesinga says the agency tries to make it as easy as possible for Iowans to help out as there are blood drives around the state daily.
Donate if you can. All types are needed right now. So if you visit our website or our app, all you have to do is put your zip code in, and you can find a blood drive that's conveniently located.
During the long holiday, many routine blood donors took some time off for vacations, which left supplies strapped.
The Red Cross has less than a 3-day supply of most blood types and less than a 2-day supply of type O. We really strive to keep a 5-day supply on hand at all times.
Search for blood drives in your area by visiting redcross.org. Owens Corning Platinum Contractors are partnering with Twin Rivers Habitat for Humanity to provide new roofs to homes of military veterans in need and their families as part of the Owens Corning Roof Deployment Project. Local contractor Rojon Home Improvement began work to put a new roof on the home of U.S. Navy veteran Linda May today. Rojon manager Mike McCarville said, "We're honored to be involved in such a special project for Miss May, and we want veterans to know how thankful we are for their service and how appreciative we are of their sacrifice." Chris Frias from Twin Rivers Habitat for Humanity said it's inspiring to see the community rally around a veteran and bring this project to life. This is a testament to our community's devotion to helping those in need. For more information or to learn how you can get involved, visit www.roofdeploymentproject.com. In sports, the St. Edmunds Gales softball team will be in action tonight, taking on AGWSR in Ackley in the second round of the playoffs. The Gales got an 8-3 win over Riceville on Monday. You can hear all the action of the Gales taking on AGWSR. First pitch scheduled at 7 p.m. That game over on Sunny 99.7. Fort Dodge softball with a doubleheader sweep last night of West Des Moines Valley. The Dodgers got a fourth inning explosion for 7 runs to propel them to a 12-10 win in the first game. In the nightcap, pitching and defense the difference, a 6-2 victory over the Tigers, as Haley Wills was on the mound and went the distance for the Dodgers, allowing just 2 runs on 7 hits over 7 innings of work. The Dodgers are back in action on Saturday night in the first round of the playoffs at Harlan Rogers. That's your Alpha Media News and Sports update for today, July the 10th. From the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. High of 78 this afternoon under mainly cloudy skies. Winds out of the northwest 20 to 25 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies. Tonight, lows it down to about 61. Mainly sunny again. Tomorrow, high temperatures reach up to 80. Upper 80s Friday and Saturday with a chance for scattered storms Saturday. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 77.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. July corn up 2.5 to $4.34 1/4. September up 2.5 cents to $4.35. December up 2 1/4 at $4.39 1/2. March up 1 3/4 at $4.46 1/4. July soybeans up 10 1/4 at $8.93. August up 8.5 at $8.94 1/2. September beans up 8.5 cents at $9 1/4. November up 8.5 at $9.12 3/4. July wheat closed up 2 cents at $5.11 3/4. Soybean meal up $1.20 a ton at $3.0910. August live cattle down 50 cents at $107.62. October down 32 at $108.97. August feeder cattle down 52 cents at $142.35. September down 27 at $142.85. July lean hogs up 37 cents at $71.75. August up $2.65 at $81.72. I'm Dwayne Murley.
Is there an easy way to eat more whole grains? Hi, I'm Julie Harker with Healthy Living on Brownfield. Popcorn is a whole grain, that's easy, but to be healthy it shouldn't be covered in butter and salt. Go lightly on both. Read the ingredients list and choose foods that name a whole grain ingredient first on the list. Look for things like whole wheat, brown rice, bulgur, buckwheat, oatmeal, whole grain cornmeal, whole oats, or whole rye. The color of a food is not an indication that it is a whole grain food. MyPlate.gov says foods labeled as multigrain, stone ground, 100% wheat, cracked wheat, and so on are usually not 100% whole grain products and might not contain any whole grains. Save time. Cook extra brown rice or oatmeal when you have time. Refrigerate half of what you cook to eat and serve later in the week. Use whole grains in mixed dishes such as barley in vegetable soups or stews and bulgur wheat in casseroles or stir fries. Any food made from wheat, rice, oats, cornmeal, barley, or another cereal grain is a grain product. People who eat whole grains as part of a healthy eating style have a reduced risk of some chronic diseases. Make simple changes. To make half your grains whole grains, choose 100% whole wheat bread, bagels, pasta, or tortillas, brown rice, oatmeal, or grits. I'm Julie Harker with Healthy Living on Brownfield.
Hi, everyone. Al Roker here. As a guy with his own catchphrase, I appreciate that after 75 years, Smokey's only said,
"Only you can prevent wildfires."
But I'm filling in because there's a lot more to report. Like when it's dry or windy. Be careful burning yard waste, because wildfires can even start in your neck of the woods. Go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Sweet strawberry icing. You're in Goodwill, and just past that vintage denim jacket you spot miniature donut earrings. You lean in. That's the scent of shopping success. Because at Goodwill, every item you buy funds local job training and more. So bring home those donut earrings and bring home so much good to your community. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
All money managers might seem the same, but while some give their clients cookie-cutter portfolios, Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to your goals and needs. Some only call when they have something to sell. Fisher calls regularly, so you stay informed And while some advisors are happy to earn commissions whether you do well or not, Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when you do better. In other words, we're on your side. Maybe that's why most of our clients come from other money managers. So if you're in or nearing retirement, talk with us and find out why investors are switching to and staying with Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments, clearly better money management. Investments in securities involve the risk of loss. Visit us at FisherInvestments.com to find out what we can do for you.
Thrifty White Community Health Corner. Serious health conditions require special medications and special care. Thrifty White Specialty Pharmacy is a unique provider of specialty medications not available at many traditional pharmacies. We work closely with your doctor and insurance company to help you receive these important specialty medications. If you need specialty medications, count on your local Thrifty White Pharmacy team to provide you with extra support and care.
Message and data rates may apply. Earning your degree from one of the top business schools in the country might sound impossible to fit into your workload. But what if there were a business degree that furthered your career and gave you access to world-renowned faculty, leaders, and mentors, all on your schedule? One that opened doors to some of the most influential CEOs, tech companies, law firms, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders. And what if you could earn that degree in as little as 16 months, 100% online? To find out more, text DRIVE to 79645. That's DRIVE to 79645. Start your online MBA, Information Management, or Business Analytics Master's Program from the W.P. Carey School of Business at Arizona State University today. Learn more about the W.P. Carey Business Graduate Programs online. Text DRIVE to 79645. That's DRIVE to 79645.
It's gift time at Merle Norman. Receive 2 convenient trial sizes of our #1 selling wrinkle smoother system with the purchase of any foundation primer. Available for a limited time only right now at Merle Norman, located inside Mary Kay's Gifts and Home Decor, 1108 Central Avenue, downtown Fort Dodge.
Your gift is free with the purchase of any Merle Norman foundation primer. Cosmetic accessories not included. Offer valid while supplies last at participating Merle Norman Cosmetic Studios beginning July 1st, 2019. Limit 1 per customer. They reserve the right to substitute individual components of gift.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
At AM 1400 KVFD.
Yeah, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. This portion of the program brought to you by the Webster County Pork Producers. We're talking with a couple of pork producers today, husband and wife team, Kyle and Abby Larson. How you doing, guys?
Doing great.
All right. Kyle, you look like you're studying there for something. What are you doing?
No, I was just looking at a couple of my notes from our presentation we did for Farm Bureau's Teacher Academy.
Okay.
Something I wanted to hit on, I had it as an opening slide in front of 35 teachers that ranged from a PE teacher. The guy looked like he was a brand new wearing his Fort Dodge Wrestling t-shirt, to kindergarten teachers, to a criminal justice teacher. And they all had to use things they learned from my presentation in a lesson and during the school year. And one thing I wanted to hit home with them was I put up a slide and I got a sow and her piglets out on pasture, and then got a picture of this oversized, large, kind of commercial looking barn. And I took a vote with the teacher. I said, when I say niche markets, how many do you think of the sow on pasture with all her piglets? And half the room raised their hands and let the other half. And I asked, are you going to vote? And they said, we abstain. And I just kind of laughed with them. And I said, what if I told you this picture of the big red barn that looks kind of funny, but kind of commercial looking, was Gap 1 too? And they all like raised their eyebrows, like, really? I was like, yeah. I said, the barn meets the protocols. It's got bedding, and the sows and piglets have enough space. It's just, we kind of took a modern, larger scale approach to it. And this barn is owned by New Fashion Pork, which is kind of a commodity pork, but they have ventured into the all-natural market in some ways. And they call it the old-fashioned pork, old-fashioned barn. So if anyone's kind of curious, you can Google old-fashioned barn, owned by New Fashion Pork, which is a tongue twister in some ways.
Sure.
But yeah, it's fascinating. I've seen some videos of it. I've never been in it. It's up in Wisconsin. But there's some videos I've seen and some pictures online, and it's pretty cool what they can do. And as we talk about the niche market, organic market is growing. And as they took an interview of the guy, the CEO of New Fashion Port, they asked, why did you go this way? He said, my P&L is beautiful. The bottom line thing.
Yeah.
So, as the industry is growing, and I pulled some stats from Port Checkoff. Port Checkoff did a little bit of research about niche markets, and they claim that 25% of the U.S. consumer is willing to pay a 40% premium for meat.
Now, okay, let's stop there for a minute. I would be willing to do that if the meat was that much better.
Yep.
Is the meat that much better?
As long as you are, is one thing I pushed with the teachers. I said, being an educated consumer and knowing the facts about the label and where's the pork coming from.
Some people in other states, and in this state too, will pay more for food if it's healthier. I'm not one of those people.
Yeah.
I'm more concerned with the taste.
And that's one thing I discussed with the teacher. I said, don't buy into the health claims by no means. But I said, if we're talking about quality and a purebred Durai, purebred Burke, and we want to talk quality, yes, by all means, chime in.
Mhm.
But I said, don't get caught up on the crazy health fads. We're not here to talk about that.
No.
We're just here to talk about there is a quality difference if you want to pursue it, and to buy quality and know your facts. Don't buy false claims or far reached claims.
I used to love Berkshire.
Yeah, Berkshire is a good premium. They're we call it the Angus of the pig world.
Oh yeah, where do you get them anymore? I'd buy a hog right now today if somebody was raising them.
There's actually a handful. I know there's a couple of kids in Humboldt County that have a small herd of 5 to 15 butchers.
Right. Well, give me their number. I'll pay them to haul it to the locker right now today. I'm sorry, Abby. You were you look like you were going to say something.
Not in what Kyle hit right on the nose, but I would probably replace quality with eating experience. You're not going to buy the same cut of beef that you would use for a steak if you wanted to have a steak for dinner versus the cut of beef you would buy for a hamburger, right? Because the hamburger, it doesn't matter what kind of cut you're putting into it.
Not
It's
really.
all going to it does to some extent, but it doesn't highly impact the eating experience.
No.
So if you want to enjoy a really good pork tenderloin for Easter, Christmas, whatever holiday, then maybe consumers would be willing to pay for a niche product because they want that eating experience. But if you're going to get pork burgers to serve at this Iowa State Fair, to serve hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people, maybe you don't want to pay that premium because you'd be buying that much more. And what's the big difference going to be between a niche market pork burger versus a commodity pork burger?
Sure.
Makes sense?
It does make sense, I'll tell you.
Ground pork is still ground pork.
And ground beef is ground beef. I mean, it all winds up on the grill as far as
Because I sometimes
it winds up between a bun and an onion and tomato.
and too much barbecue.
There's no such thing as too much barbecue. Come on, man.
But something that's funny that I chime in when we go to these producer meetings for our company, I sometimes ask, where's your commercials and ads for loins and hams and bacon? And they said, we don't need to advertise, we're sold out. They're constantly advertising for brats and sausages. They just had an ad with rollout with Fat Tire, joined them on a big ad for Fat Tire beer and their brats, and so they're constantly pushing the brats, but those loins and hams and bacon, they're just sold out.
You want to talk about Panera hams, because Panera is featuring niche market hams on all of their sandwiches.
Panera, you mean like the restaurants?
The restaurant Panera.
Really?
They are specifically featuring Niman Ranch hams on most
Diamond
of their
Ranch hams.
Niman.
Nyman, I'm sorry. And that's a particular kind of ham.
Or one, for example, a Niman Ranch is a niche market company. And if you think about it, a pig only has 2 hams. So those companies, those large scale food service companies that are willing to invest in that niche market, a lot of these companies aren't just able to keep up, are struggling to keep up with production because that product is selling so well.
Sure. Well, you've got me curious now. I'm going to have to go out and check that out. Yeah, Kyle, what? It looks like you're going to say something here.
No, you hit it right on the spot. Niche market stuff is exploding in all the different industries, and that's one thing I preach to the teachers. I said the reason why I love niche markets is because there is no blueprint or perfect way to do this. We have not nailed down the perfect way to raise sows fair to finish, and for niche market category, we have seen some companies come in and build very expensive barns and a fancier way of doing it. But we also see many families that thrive on doing it on a lower scale, cheap way because they had the facilities that they built in the 90s that are now coming back into use. As I was telling the teachers, I said, I drive the countryside looking for open fronts and buildings that were abandoned 20 years ago, but now fit my sector and my industry. You know, that's what gets me excited is these buildings that were vacant and emptied in the late 90s because the industry changed, but now a new industry has exploded looking for those facilities to come back to life.
They changed how so that the buildings were abandoned?
Just in order to compete in the commercial industry, we moved indoors. But now the outdoor all natural market has to be raised outdoors. So now those facilities have shown a value.
The commercial guys are pretty excited about Prestige Farms.
Oh, they are.
How does that benefit a niche marketer like yourself? And does it or not?
It's a mixed bag. The best way it benefits me is more industries are coming to town, and my life is getting easier in different ways. And the fact that more things are becoming available, like my corn products is from CJ and Cargill. Like my corn being raised next year, I'm excited for. We're going to do 100% byproduct. So we'll use CJ's ethanol byproduct, which is full of nitrogen, and then I'm going to put my manure on it for the NP for the other parts of the fertilizer, phosphorus and potassium. And my corn crop is going to be raised pretty much by 100% byproduct.
Sure.
Which is kind of exciting. I'm not organic or anything, but
you don't farm that much ground.
No. I have 50 acres I personally farm, and Dad was farming 130 acres, but now he decided after last year's craziness that he was decided to be done, and Greg Horror rents Dad's piece.
Oh, really?
So yeah,
why didn't you take the land?
I have a lot of different things going on, and my hands are in different things financially with the Sparbo acquisition. I decided I had enough things going on, and going into row crop and looking at the markets is like I'm gonna sit out for a couple of years and let Greg farm it. And
sure,
that's
the wrong way for Greg, by the way. I know where his operation is. It's not that way.
Oh, he farms up north. He's got farms up by Gilmore. So
does he have farms by Gilmore? I didn't know that.
Yep, he had one piece. So
okay.
Yep, his crew was just in our area working, and my hired hand tagged along and went with him this afternoon since I'm here, and so that's fun. It's Greg Horror and I have a growing relationship, and we my hired hand helps him sometimes off and on. I have chimed in helping, and then he hires Evan to work for him occasionally. So
Greg and Lydia are great folks. There's no doubt about that.
Yep, no question.
I knew their kids when they were real little, and Joe whenever the other son grew up to be a real nice young man. And
as my father reminds me, he said, "You are a pig farmer, not a row crop farmer."
Keep that in mind. Huh?
Yeah.
What was his? It sounds like he didn't farm a whole lot.
No, he worked in town. He was the lab manager at the wastewater plant.
Oh, he was. So was he more of a part-time farmer then?
Oh, yeah. I grew up. That's a neat thing that I kind of preached to the teachers. I said, niche markets allowed me to turn a side business or a hobby farm into a full-scale, full-time operation for myself and him and a full-time hired guy. My hired guy is collecting very good pay. So he will compete with, I just kind of joking, I said he might make more than a beginning teacher.
Well, gosh, if an ambitious young person can make that much, I wonder what the deal is with the difficulty in hiring. I'm kind of into this employee thing in the labor shortage.
People want to make money, but they don't want to work. That's the difference. There's plenty of ways.
How do you do that?
Not to get on a rant, but there are plenty of ways for people of all education status to make money and good money, but they have to put in the work. People want a high scale office job and make good money, but not all of us are meant for that or have an education background to get us there. But there are very good paying jobs in the hog industry to agriculture to the meat industry that my wife works in, where if you're willing to put in the work and some time, you can make good money from, they can make 45, 50,000 easy to even more if you really want to. Abby has witnessed people go from working the line to working higher up in management. They just move their way up and they prove that they can learn and know something. And that's something I've told our hired guy. I said, if you buy in and watch us go through the transitions and as we grow, you're going to get more bang for the buck than someone that joins us 5 years later after it's built and done.
Sure.
So it's all about putting in your dues and putting some skin in the game.
Yeah, I'm just, of course, I'm an older man, and first of all, let me say, and I believe, and I say this, and I mean it from my heart, anybody who's working for a living trying to support themselves has my respect. They do. Yep. But I see a lot of young people working in convenience stores or stocking shelves. I know those jobs don't pay that much. Why would they continue to do that if they can put out a little more effort and make a lot more money? I don't get it, I guess. But I guess there's no easy answer either.
And I think a particular thing, especially with the agriculture industry in general, is that you do literally get your hands dirty. You get them dirty often. You just have to, putting in the work, having the work ethic, recognize that there are going to be the good days, are going to be the bad days. And, the agriculture industry isn't all about the salespeople, right? Because the salespeople are all relying on the farmers who are getting their hands dirty and getting dirt under their nails. So everybody has to have humility, I think, to do that. I think a large part of working in the agriculture industry, especially in the niche market world, is, you've heard me talk about, we are hand scooping, hand cleaning most of our pens. There's a level of humility that you have to do that.
That's life in Iowa to me. I mean, it is. I mean, there's no shame in that in this state. I mean, maybe in California or someplace where they don't have a lot of hogs, maybe that's unusual, or maybe they might think that's not something they want to do. But that's Iowa. That's life in Iowa, isn't it?
Yeah. It's very much. And I have plenty of friends in college that have nice jobs. And when I was busting my butt to get home on the weekends to take care of pigs and help dad as we were trying to figure out grow and expand, and my college friends were like, why are you doing that? Why are you working that hard? Why are you doing this? And now that I've been out of college for 3-4 years, they kind of get excited of, wow, things are going places. You're doing more than just making the general 8 to 5 paycheck. So, and we're expanding and buying things, and we'll see where things take us.
Well, we'll keep me posted. Kyle and Abby Larson, thank you for being here. This portion of the program brought to you by the Webster County Pork Producers.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I shopped the many highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $27 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 800-714-2553. That's 800-714-2553. 800-714-2553. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Or price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
If you're drowning in IRS tax debt, please get ready to take down this number to take advantage of the new IRS tax forgiveness programs. The IRS has recently hired private debt collection agencies to start collecting your outstanding taxes.
Prior to calling Superior Tax Relief, I owe the IRS $33,000, and my wages had just been garnished. Superior Tax Relief put a stop to the garnishment and was able to resolve my tax problem. I walked away owing close to nothing. I would highly recommend Superior Tax Relief. They saved my life.
We can protect you from the added fees and negotiate your tax liability. Superior Tax Relief can set you free from your tax issues. Call Superior Tax Relief to find out how you can qualify for the Fresh Start program that's now available. Don't hesitate. Call today. Call 800-711-5099. The consultation is free. The information is free. This call could save you thousands. Call 800-711-5099. 800-711-5099. That's 800-711-5099.
Hi, this is Gary Rima, the voice of the University of Northern Iowa Panthers, and this is the home for Panther sports, the voice of Fort Dodge, KVFD. Fort
The
Dodge.
federal prosecutor still argues it was the best way to make sure hedge fund manager Jeffrey Epstein served any jail time.
Today's world treats victims very, very differently. Today's world does not allow some of the victim shaming that could have taken place at trial.
Insisting they were trying to do the right thing for the victims, Fox's John Decker is live at the White House.
Labor Secretary Alex Acosta repeatedly cast blame on Epstein's lenient sentence for sex crimes charges on the Palm Beach, Florida State Attorney's Office, and he refused to offer an apology to the victims in the case.
We expect a lot more transparency. If we had had more transparency, perhaps this case would have gone differently.
Republican lawmakers have been silent in offering support for Acosta, and President Trump has said that he's evaluating Acosta's future very carefully. Lisa?
And John, Democrats in Congress say Acosta should resign or be fired. Epstein is charged with sex trafficking in a new federal case in New York. He's about to face a new lawsuit, possibly. Lawyers filing preliminary paperwork for a 32-year-old woman who says Epstein raped her when she was 15. The man accused of killing a University of Utah student last month is now charged with murder. Mackenzie Lewick's burned body was found in a wooded area last week. Other evidence and a burned pit had been found in the suspect's backyard.
Cell phone records for Mackenzie showed that she exchanged several text messages with an individual later identified as Aula Adisa Ajayi in the early morning hours of June 17, 2019.
Around the same time, Lewick went missing, but Salt Lake City DA Sim Gill won't discuss those texts or a possible motive. This is Fox News.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. I've got great news. Mortgage interest rates have dropped. So if you're thinking about buying a home, right now is the time to lock that low rate, even before you find the home of your dreams. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
California couple is suing a fertility clinic in LA after ending up with the wrong baby. 2 babies, in fact, someone else's embryos that Ani Manukin carried to term thinking they were hers, while someone else was carrying her son in New York.
I'm eternally grateful to her for carrying my baby and taking care of him even after birth. She's a wonderful woman, and I pray for her every day, and God will give her her own beautiful babies one day. She deserves that.
That other couple in New York is also suing because they were expecting to have twin girls. Instead, there were 2 boys, and DNA tests show those baby boys were not related to each other. Some embryos are still missing. The mix-ups remain under investigation. Storm preps along the Gulf Coast as forecasters warn a hurricane could form by this weekend.
We don't know how severe this is going to be. We don't know where all it will impact.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott says heavy rain and flooding are possible. A celebration for the Women's World Cup champs.
Yes, we play sports. Yes, we play soccer. Yes, we're female athletes. But we're so much more than that.
Co-captain Megan Rapinoe praising the team's social responsibility at the end of a New York City parade.
The U.S. women's national soccer team was greeted with chants of USA, as well as equal pay. A nod to the pay difference between the U.S. men's and women's teams. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo and City Mayor Bill de Blasio rode on floats along with team members who were also given keys to the city. The U.S. women's team becomes the only team besides the New York Yankees to have back-to-back ticker tape parades in their honor. In the Canyon of Heroes in Lower Manhattan, Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
Rapinoe, who's been critical of the president's policies, is still signaling there will not be a White House visit, but The team is expected to accept an invitation to Congress. I'm Lisa Brady, and this is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom. I'm Rob Jones. A Webster City doctor has admitted to making false statements to the United States Attorney's Office regarding Medicare claims. Radio Iowa's Dar Danielson with more.
76-year-old Joseph Latella admitted to lying about the claims he built so he could be paid at the highest rate possible when he worked in private practice and as the medical director for several nursing homes in the Webster City area. U.S. Attorney's investigation indicated Latella was billing more than 93% of his nursing home visits to Medicare under the most expensive claim code and falsely claimed he spent the time required for that level of billing. Latella's reached a plea agreement will pay around $108,000 to Medicare and $9,200 to Medicaid for the losses caused by his false claims. He faces a maximum of 5 years in prison, $250,000 fine once a sentencing date has been set. Radio Iowa, I'm Dar Danielson.
The Fort Dodge Fire Department received approval at Monday's City Council meeting to add another lieutenant to each of its shifts. The fire department has been the only ambulance service available in Fort Dodge and the surrounding area since last July and was in need of the additional positions to handle the influx in workload. Fire Chief Steve Hergenreiter said that recently in one day, the department responded to 2 fires and 30 medical emergencies. The chief says the positions will save the city about $3,000 per year by being able to operate without an assistant chief. That position has not been filled since Lenny Sanders resigned from it in June of last year. The council approved promotions to lieutenant for Nathan Conrad, Nick Carlson, and Ben Wayner. From Radio Iowa, the 4th of July holiday left American Red Cross chapters in Iowa with a critical need for blood. Red Cross spokeswoman Sue Thiesinga says the agency tries to make it as easy as possible for Iowans to help out as there are blood drives around the state daily.
Donate if you can. All types are needed right now. So if you visit our website or our app, all you have to do is put your zip code in, and you can find a blood drive that's conveniently located.
During the long holiday, many routine blood donors took some time off for vacations, which left supplies strapped.
The Red Cross has less than a 3-day supply of most blood types and less than a 2-day supply of type O. We really strive to keep a 5-day supply on hand at all times.
Search for blood drives in your area by visiting redcross.org. Owens Corning Platinum Contractors are partnering with Twin Rivers Habitat for Humanity to provide new roofs to homes of military veterans in need and their families as part of the Owens Corning Roof Deployment Project. Local contractor Rojan Home Improvement began work to put a new roof on the home of U.S. Navy veteran Linda May today. Rojan manager Mike McCarville said, "We're honored to be involved in such a special project for Miss May, and we want veterans to know how thankful we are for their service and how appreciative we are of their sacrifice." Chris Frias from Twin Rivers Habitat for Humanity said it's inspiring to see the community rally around a veteran and bring this project to life. This is a testament to our community's devotion to helping those in need. For more information or to learn how you can get involved, visit www.roofdeploymentproject.com. In sports, the St. Edmunds Gales softball team will be in action tonight, taking on AGWSR in Ackley in the second round of the playoffs. The Gales got an 8-3 win over Riceville on Monday. You can hear all the action of the Gales taking on AGWSR. First pitch scheduled at 7 p.m. That game over on Sunny 99.7. Fort Dodge softball with a doubleheader sweep last night of West Des Moines Valley. The Dodgers got a fourth-inning explosion for 7 runs to propel them to a 12-10 win in the first game. In the nightcap, pitching and defense the difference, a 6-2 victory over the Tigers, as Haley Wills was on the mound and went the distance for the Dodgers, allowing just 2 runs on 7 hits over 7 innings of work. The Dodgers are back in action on Saturday night in the first round of the playoffs at Harlan Rogers. That's your Alpha Media News and Sports update for today, July the 10th. From the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. High of 78 this afternoon under mainly cloudy skies. Winds out of the northwest 20 to 25 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies. Tonight, lows dip down to about 61. Mainly sunny again. Tomorrow, high temperatures reach up to 80. Upper 80s. $79.
Have the talk of the lifetime with the ones you love.
This code asks, what events in our nation's history had an impact on you and how?
Pearl Harbor was on my 10th birthday, December 7th, 1941. That was the start of World War II. I was doing the farm chores with my brother, and the vet came to check our cows and told us all about it. It was a scary time.
Sharing stories and memories with those who matter most will be especially significant when it's time to honor a life lived. Contact Gunderson Funeral Home to learn more about having the talk of a lifetime.
Sounds like you've got the crud. Cough, fever, sinus pressure, body aches. What should you take? Which over-the-counter medicine is best? You sure don't know, but the people at Daniel Pharmacy do. The pharmacists and technicians at Daniel Pharmacy are ready to help. They drop what they're doing, ask you what you're looking for, go down the aisle with you, and help you find the best medication for your symptoms. Daniel Pharmacy, caring for you and about you for over 50 years at 1114 Central Avenue, downtown Fort Dodge.
Managing soybean white mold. Hello, everyone. I'm Rhiannon Branch with Managing for Profit on Brownfield. A Northern Illinois agronomist says soybean white mold favors wet conditions and temperatures below 85 degrees, which makes it safe to say the disease could be an issue in some parts of the Midwest this year. In this Managing for Profit, Todd Thumma with Golden Harvest will walk us through the best management practices to prevent and treat white mold and highlight the yield and money that can be saved when a farmer properly monitors the disease. More after this on Brownfield.
To protect his home and family from disaster, Steve used courage, wisdom, and his camera phone.
That should do it.
Way to go, Steve! By simply taking digital pictures of his family's important documents, Steve can always have them stored safely online, no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
3, 2, 1. Oh no. Which button am I?
When every second counts, you can't wing it.
Guys, a little help up here?
In a home fire, you may have less than 2 minutes to get out. So make a family home fire escape plan. Then practice home fire drills at least twice a year so everyone knows what to do when they hear. Prepare your family at ready.gov/fire drill. Brought to you by FEMA, the Ad Council, and Make Safe Happen.
Agronomist Todd Thumma with Golden Harvest tells Brownfield weather conditions this year have been favorable for soybean white mold, especially in the upper Midwest.
So white mold is favored by wet conditions, and it prefers to see temperatures that are below about 85 degrees. Now, up until this last week, we had those types of weather conditions. It was very favorable for white mold. In fact, if your beans started to flower before the summer solstice or the longest day of the year, you're probably pretty susceptible. Since then, our temperatures are probably in the what I would call a little less favorable category for the disease spreading.
He says white mold will infect a soybean plant right after it starts to flower, leaving a negative impact on yields.
The worst part about white mold is it tends to favor what I'll call the highly productive areas of the field, where we tend to have better fertility, better soils, and it can cut yields by over 60% very quickly. So it can be very devastating in those areas. And like I said, it tends to favor what I'll call those higher production areas of the field.
Thumma says management of white mold starts with variety selection.
Varieties that have a lot better tolerance to white mold compared to others. Some of that is in the structure of the plant. Some of it's just normal disease tolerance within the plant. After that, we can use some of the PPO herbicides. So the Cobra has a label for white mold at a lower rate. I've also seen Flexstar Reflex, Ultra Blazer, Flexstar GT do a nice job at helping suppress white mold. It seems like when we spray those burner-style products to give us a little bit of bronzing or burning on the leaves, we tend to trigger a defensive mechanism within those plants, and they tolerate white mold just a lot better. The next thing we can do is there are fungicides that are labeled for white mold. Miravis Neo would be a new product that Syngenta has out that is labeled for white mold, does an excellent job of controlling white mold. You also got Domark and a couple other products From a management practice, I can back off on my populations. Reducing that stand, reducing that amount of canopy that's there tends to help quite a bit.
And Thumma says savings can add up quickly when white mold is properly managed.
So being proactive in managing white mold, your return on investment goes through the roof very quickly, especially in those fields that have heavy disease pressure and a little more susceptible varieties. I mean, you can easily add $60, $70, $80 to your pocket, even when you're spending $30 and $40 on a fungicide treatment or on a contained style treatment that can be soil applied to help manage the disease.
That was Todd Thumma with Golden Harvest. I'm Rhiannon Branch with Managing for Profit on Brownfield.
To keep your vehicle running at its best, keep up with routine maintenance. The certified service techs at Humboldt Motor Sales make maintaining your vehicle easy. They offer convenient hours and competitive prices on all service and parts. And they take care of your GM warranty needs too. From oil changes to tires, brakes to batteries, engine repair and transmission repair, Humboldt Motor Sales can handle it all. Have your vehicle serviced soon at Humboldt Motor Sales. Log on to HumboldtGM.com to schedule an appointment now or call 800-566-8671.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. I'm Michael Devine. And back after a break is Dr. Dean Stanzel. He is an economist with Southern Methodist University and the O'Neill Center. Hi, Dean.
Hi, Michael. How are you?
I'm excellent. Yeah, it was great to have a few days off, and you took a day or two off back then, didn't you? It's probably
sure
been.
Did. Yeah, I had a conference out in San Francisco and then took a little family time afterwards.
Well, God, you got to do that, don't you?
Yeah, it's good place to visit.
Of course, you're from Florida, and you live in Texas, so you don't know how brutal winters are in the
No, but I don't know if you've been to San Francisco at this time of year. It's cold. I mean,
It is.
It's not cold, but it's not hot. It's like in the 50s and 60s.
Well, it's a different kind of cold there. It's like Chicago, only worse in San Francisco because the breeze comes off the ocean.
Right.
And yeah, that's cold.
Yeah, no, it's a refreshing change of pace for the 100-degree that I came back to here. Nevertheless, can't complain.
Dr. Stansel's with the O'Neill Center. Please explain the O'Neill Center.
Sure thing. The O'Neill Center for Global Markets and Freedom is in the Cox Business School at SMU in Dallas. It was set up by one of our alums, William O'Neill, who is the founder of Investors Business Daily newspaper. And we focus on studying the impact of competitive market forces on freedom and prosperity in the global economy. Our website is o'neillcenter.org. That's one L, ONEIL.
There we go. Dr. Stansel has sent me a topic today.
By the way, before we get to that,
yes,
it is kind of a national story. One of our benefactors at SMU and at the O'Neill Center, or at least the Perot family is one of our big benefactors.
Oh, the Perot, yeah.
Ross Perot
passed away.
Just passed away today. So our thoughts go out to them. They've been big supporters of us. So.
There's a great story about Ross Perot in a car dealership. He brought in his 10-year-old Cadillac for repairs, and the Cadillac dealership owner happened to walk by, and he noticed Mr. Perot, of course, and greeted him and thanked him for his business. And Mr. Perot said, well, I got my Cadillac in here again. It's getting 10 years old. It's got over 100,000 on it. It's getting to be kind of a problem. And the car dealer said, well, why don't you just buy a new one then? And Mr. Perot said, because nobody ever asked me. That's a great salesman story. That's a great salesman story. For all salesmen everywhere, don't forget to ask. They might say yes. Anyway, one of the pet peeves of Dr. Stanzel and myself is occupational licensing. Like you have to get a license to cut hair. You have to get a license to do this or that, to be an auctioneer, for God's sake, in a lot of states. Now, in Iowa, I believe we still have beauty schools or schools that train you to cut women's hair primarily, men's as well. And those things are real profit centers, I'll tell you. And the Des Moines Register did a series on some of the bigger beauty schools or haircutting schools or whatever it is you want to call them in the state of Iowa, and found out that after graduation, after how many hours and how much tuition had been paid to the school, the average wage for these mainly young women coming out of these schools was $11 an hour. Now, by contrast, the people that owned the beauty schools were multimillionaires and were lobbying heavily not to change the occupational licensing requirement. And that is a perfect
It's a perfect reason and a perfect definition of the abuse of these licenses. All they are is a way for the state to make money. Period.
Well, not just the state, but also, as you put it, like the schools that are doing these licenses. I assume some of those are private, but beyond that, the existing producers, right? So they're basically using the licensing requirements to restrict competition, which then sure it benefits them, but also drives up the prices for consumers. So we pay more for those things than we would if people could more easily enter the market and compete for that business.
Why do you think or why do you think? Have I given the reason for occupational licenses, or do you think there's other reasons?
Oh, the reason they exist? Well, I mean, all right. So you could come up with some examples probably where there's a public safety justification that people use as an argument in favor of these licenses. Although I and others, critics of these things, would argue there are other ways to get there beyond requiring government permission to work, which is essentially what we do with these. But ultimately, it's protectionism in my view, and what happens is that those who benefit from having these licensing restrictions, they tend to be to have organized professional associations where people pay dues and there's money available to lobby and that sort of thing. In other words, they're more organized special interest, as opposed to those who really are hurt by the restrictions, which is true with a lot of legislation and government policy. A lot of times the losers, they don't really have the same ability to organize. And in part, their losses are relatively small, right? So you pay more when you get your hair cut or what have you. At each event, it's not that much money, so people don't feel all that motivated to really get exercised about it and contact their legislator or whatever. Not that would solve the problem in and of itself, but there's just less incentive. Getting back to basic economics, the incentives matter, and there's less incentive for the losers to fight it out with essentially the winners from these bad policies.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Dr. Stanzel has pointed an article out to me regarding the state of Pennsylvania. Governor Tom Wolf in Pennsylvania he has pushed back on the idea of occupational licenses. He signed a bill that would allow individuals who obtain occupational licenses in other states, they can be used in Pennsylvania if they move here. Now, this affects a lot of different types of jobs, and some of them it may surprise you. Cosmetologists, massage therapists, nurses, teachers, and lawyers. Do you think teachers and nurses and lawyers should be licensed?
All right, so the way I would answer that is that I don't think the way we do it is the best way it could be done. I don't think that, well, if you think back to when this country was first founded, granted things were very, very different, but there weren't law schools per se, right? There were people who were practicing law in a sense, whatever it meant back then, who didn't have some certification saying that they were officially a lawyer or a nurse, right, or a teacher. Things were done very differently. And I'm not suggesting that we shouldn't progress over time, but ultimately, if there's no true public safety thing at stake, and even when there is, I think there are better ways to go about it. And so one of the things, but I just, briefly, so this Pennsylvania thing, Arizona was the first state to do this, and it's a big deal. It's allowing this reciprocity because that's one of the barriers to mobility, and it's particularly problematic for lower skilled, lower income workers. That if you want to move from one state to another, and you're in one of these hundreds or dozens of occupations where you need a license. And you were licensed in this other state, but now you're living in here and they have a different system. And you've got to start from scratch and go through their system and take the classes and pay the fees and take the exams. Well, that's a real hardship economically for low income people. And so what Arizona and Pennsylvania have done is basically said, if you got a license over in this other state, we're gonna grant that here. And I think that's a step in the right direction to alleviate the burden. We should go much farther. And so last week I had this op-ed in Dallas Morning News that I think I sent you, but we had an issue here in Texas, which is probably one of the harder cases to argue, perhaps. relative to like haircutting, and that is plumbers. There are 6 states that do not license plumbers, and Texas was about to become the 7th. But essentially the governor, after the legislature is part-time, and the legislature had shut down for the year, and they had essentially not extended the plumbing licensing agency.
Right.
We have a sunset provision here where essentially meaning if you don't reauthorize it, it dies after a certain period, and they just couldn't reach agreement on it. And I'm not sure if it was intentional totally, but they closed the session, and in effect, they said the Texas State Board of Plumbing Examiners is no longer going to exist. The governor got a lot of pressure from the plumbers associations, and he signed an executive order to overturn it. So he saved it, but it created a lot of discussion in the state, and other states have these same issues. There's been a lot of activity lately to try to scale back these burdens, and you know, if you boil down to it, you know, for your listeners, what are you really concerned about, right? Are you concerned that you're going to get shoddy workmanship? Because we already have provisions in the law to deal with that. We have provisions in the law to deal with kind of a fraudulent behavior, right? Every state has a Deceptive Trade Practice Act, which allows the Attorney General to prosecute fraudulent providers. And in fact, in Arkansas, I think a year or two ago, there was an RV repair company called New Cold that had been providing allegedly defective goods and failing to deliver goods and services, and a bunch of consumers complained, and the Attorney General won a big settlement against them, and including, of course, restitution to those consumers. There are ways to, in other words, even if things go awry, to get compensation, but there are also better ways now than there were, say, 10, 20, 30 years ago for consumers, for the markets to kind of regulate themselves, because word of mouth, that's not a new thing, actually. Yelp, Angie's List, HomeAdvisor, all sorts of, you can go to the Better Business Bureau website very easily and track this stuff. So there are ways to go about kind of regulating, essentially, these providers without requiring a government permission slip.
Well, even after that long series in the Des Moines Register, and I picked up on it and others did, concerning really the abuse of these poor young girls who were just trying to find a way to make a living in life. Even after all of that, I think there was some sort of action down at the state legislature, but there was so much money poured into the pockets of a few legislators. They bought some legislators, in other words, that we didn't really get reform, and we certainly haven't banished occupational licensing. Somebody will always come forward with a public safety issue. Oh, we have to license tattoo artists because of public safety. And really that's used when we talk about people who are just cutting hair. We have to license them to make sure that they don't injure anyone while they're cutting their hair. Now, I suppose that can happen in some circumstances, but I can't think of one, doctor.
It might have to involve some heavy drinking. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I really don't.
A barbershop with a bar, maybe there could be some issues, but
barbershop and a bar.
Common sense can avoid that.
Yeah.
Hey, another example of this is auto mechanics. So auto mechanics aren't required to have a state government license, but at least here in Texas, I think it's true most places. But basically every shop here has a private. So another option is private certification. It's a private certification from ASE. It stands for Automotive Service Excellence. I think ASE shops are kind of standard around the country, everywhere I've lived at least. And so this is taking matters out of politicians' hands and putting them into consumers' hands. And so private certification is yet another option in addition to the other things where we can help regulate these providers. Because look, no one wants you to get bad service, but the issue is what's the best way to go about avoiding that. And in my view, government-run occupational licensing isn't the way to go. And in fact, it's a pretty nonpartisan issue. Obama put together something on this shortly before he left office back in 2015, and Trump has spoken out on it as well. It's not really one that a partisan issue where just one party's in favor of reforms here. Everyone seems to be, and I think that explains some of the activity Arizona and Oklahoma and Colorado and the Pennsylvania example, et cetera. People are moving in the right direction slowly, too slowly.
Some of you may remember that when Dr. Dean Stansel first started on the air with us here at AM 1400 KVFD, he was at Florida Gulf Coast University down in Fort Myers, Florida. That's where he's from originally. You're from Miami originally, right, Dean?
Right, yep.
Yeah. Well, the Florida legislature has failed to pass a bill to deregulate occupational licensing. And I'm reminded again that the AMA doesn't allow, the American Medical Association doesn't allow too many doctors to be licensed in our country. The reason is to keep up the cost of their labor, so to speak. Now, this is not ditch digging that these doctors do. They're highly trained professionals, but it remains the fact that what the AMA is doing has there's one reason they're doing it is to keep the cost of physician care up there quite a bit up.
Sure, yeah, but you could argue, well, the AMA, that's a private group, right? So in a sense, they're but when it, where I think the best potential for reform is what people sometimes call scope of practice, right? Where the AMA is deliberately restricting what some of these other providers like registered nurses, et cetera, physician's assistants, things that they are qualified to do, but the doctors won't let go of their kind of monopoly on that provision of that particular service. That's causing issues for not only for cost, but for access, right? For availability, especially in rural areas where you could really help these people get the care that they need if the doctors would loosen up scope of practice and let some of these less high tech, high skilled jobs be done by those who don't have MDs but nevertheless are medical professionals.
Well, some of you may remember there was a real free-for-all down in Florida over who was going to be the next governor, and Ron DeSantis did win, and he has made occupational licensing reform a focus of his legislative agenda. According to one of his aides, the costs of occupational licensing, too strict occupational licensing, is borne by the consumers. We pay more for the services than we really should.
Absolutely, yeah, and if you think about the example of plumbing, 44 of the 50 states do license plumbers, but if you think about what it costs to get a plumber to come out, just the service call plus the hourly, and you can cite it as a good example for someone with low skills. You can make good money in that industry, but part of the reason is that the occupational licensing restrictions keep out the other competitors. Because if you think about it, for some of the things for which you need a plumber, someone who basically is a handyman could do it, right? I mean, you and I can do basic plumbing repairs around the home, presumably. Not anything high tech from my side, at least, but I can do some basic stuff, right? As could a handyman, and the way in which the licenses restrict competition is bad for consumers because it makes them have to pay more.
All right, Dr. Stanzel has also sent me a article from the Washington Post, which is not quite as liberal as the Dallas Morning News. I'm surprised you're in the Dallas Morning News there, Doctor.
Yeah, occasionally it happens.
Send me that article. I got to see you in there just for contrast to the rest of the paper.
All right.
This concerns Representative Justin Amash, I believe his name is, from Michigan, who made headlines not long ago by leaving the Republican Party and becoming an independent. The reason he gave is that the two-party system is in a death spiral. Now, according to Representative Amash, I believe I'm saying his name correctly, the two-party system has evolved into an existential threat to American principles and institutions, which, by the way, Dr. Stanzel, is an on-running theme of this program, that especially the Democratic Party and their belief of open borders, and there can be no other description of their policy on immigration than open borders. Further, their contention that, yes, we should offer complete medical treatment to illegals will break our system. It will break our country. And then we're going to do reparations. My God, what else will happen here? I mean, what else will they promise?
Okay. What do you really think about this guy? Listen, the thing that I found interesting about this whole thing was I think it's Amash or Amash, as you were saying it. I don't know. I always mispronounce it. But was in his article the way he talked about partisanship, and I don't know that I had ever learned this, but certainly when one of the things he was talking about with George Washington and when the country was first founded, there basically weren't political parties. Right now, of course, we were a much less mobile society. People were closer in their communities, and they kind of knew who you could trust to be, put power in their hands.
Mm-hmm.
But nevertheless, this whole partisanship was a major concern for George Washington. He had some really good quotes from George Washington about all this. But for people in general back then, when they were setting this kind of grand experiment up, the idea of partisanship, first of all, it's not incorporated in the Constitution per se, and it's something there was concern about it, and we see those concerns kind of playing out today. Now I would say that the way they set up the congressional districts, as they call it, first past the post, where the winner gets the most votes gets the seat, is almost destined to lead to a two-party system. But as opposed to, say, where they have in Europe with the parliamentary system, where it's the percentage of the vote that your party gets, you get that many seats. So their system encourages more parties. Our system encourages two.
Yeah.
Both systems have problems.
Right.
There's not a perfect solution to switch to what they have over there, but that is the difference, and it makes it hard for people who don't fit in that R or D category like me to really have a voice in the decisions.
Well, the main consequence of our two-party system, according to Representative Amash, is that in the political class, loyalty to party is more important than serving the American people or protecting our governing institutions. The parties value winning for its own sake at whatever cost. And we're seeing that now. How can you describe the insanity of the Democratic Party right now, other than willing to do or say anything to return to power? Now,
right, and that insanity is not limited to the left. The Republicans.
Oh, I know that.
Just to make sure.
I was just knocked over.
You do.
I was just bowled over by those Democratic Party debates I saw here a couple of weeks ago. I couldn't believe what they were saying. I thought that there would be some sort of apparently my idea of radical proposals and theirs is a lot different, because I heard things I never expected to hear before. The open borders, free health care for illegals, all of these things, reparations up to but not limited by $100 billion. $100 billion.
Right. Well, on the borders thing, I think you know where I stand. But just to be clear, old Milton Friedman back years ago said, we should put a wall around the welfare state, not around the border. and it's true. And your immediate follow statement makes clear why it's a problem, because you said free health care for these illegal immigrants. Well, that's the problem fiscally, is that we're giving away free stuff. And so if you stop giving away free stuff, then that eliminates that part of the problem. Sure, there's still going to be people with concerns about cultural stuff, I suppose. But in my view, that we're better off when we have more immigrants, and it makes this country stronger. But that's a view that I know a lot of people don't agree with, including you.
Dr. Dean Stanzel is our guest, has been our guest. He's an economics professor at Southern Methodist University and the O'Neill Center. As always, Dean, thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Divine Intervention is online at yourfortdodge.com, on Twitter at JMike1400.
It's 4:38. The news is next.
When severe weather threatens, keep it here for the Severe Weather Advisor. Brought to you by Creative Signs and Graphics Fort Dodge. For signs, decals, vehicle graphics, magnets, logos, customized documents, and more. If your business needs it, Creative Signs and Graphics can make it. And a stitch above the rest embroidery, Fort Dodge. Step out in style with quality brands, timely turnaround, and professional service. A stitch above the rest. Embroidery professionals worth finding. Remember, when severe weather threatens, stay with your friends on KVFD.
Ready to create your own income with your own home-based business where there's no such thing as getting laid off? If a billionaire entrepreneur spent 5 years and $20 million searching for the next big trend, wouldn't you want to know what he found? If you're serious about making money from home without having to leave home, then write this down. www.goherenext.com. You decide your income. Get the facts now. GoHereNext.com.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom. I'm Rob Jones. A Webster City doctor has admitted to making false statements to the United States Attorney's Office regarding Medicare claims. Radio Iowa's Dar Danielson with more.
76-year-old Joseph Latella admitted to lying about the claims he built so he could be paid at the highest rate possible when he worked in private practice and as a medical director for several nursing homes in the Webster City area. U.S. Attorney's investigation indicated Latella was billing more than 93% of his nursing home visits to Medicare under the most expensive claim code and falsely claimed he spent the time required for that level of billing. Latella's reached a plea agreement will pay around $108,000 to Medicare and $9,200 to Medicaid for the losses caused by his false claims. He faces a maximum of 5 years in prison, $250,000 fine once a sentencing date has been set. Radio Iowa, I'm Dar Danielson.
The Fort Dodge Fire Department received approval at Monday's City Council meeting to add another lieutenant to each of its shifts. The fire department has been the only ambulance service available in Fort Dodge and the surrounding area since last July and was in need of the additional positions to handle the influx in workload. Fire Chief Steve Hergenreiter said that recently in one day, the department responded to 2 fires and 30 medical emergencies. The chief says the positions will save the city about $3,000 per year by being able to operate without an assistant chief. That position has not been filled since Lenny Sanders resigned from it in June of last year. The council approved promotions to lieutenant for Nathan Conrad, Nick Carlson, and Ben Wayner. From Radio Iowa, the 4th of July holiday left American Red Cross chapters in Iowa with a critical need for blood. Red Cross spokeswoman Sue Thiesinga says the agency tries to make it as easy as possible for Iowans to help out, as there are blood drives around the state daily.
Donate if you can. All types are needed right now. So if you visit our website or our app, all you have to do is put your zip code in, and you can find a blood drive that's conveniently located.
During the long holiday, many routine blood donors took some time off for vacations, which left supplies strapped.
The Red Cross has less than a 3-day supply of most blood type and less than a 2-day supply of type O. We really strive to keep a 5-day supply on hand at all times.
Search for blood drives in your area by visiting redcross.org. Owens Corning Platinum Contractors are partnering with Twin Rivers Habitat for Humanity to provide new roofs to homes of military veterans in need and their families as part of the Owens Corning Roof Deployment Project. Local contractor Rojan Home Improvement began work to put a new roof on the home of U.S. Navy veteran Linda May today. Rojan manager Mike McCarville said, "We're honored to be involved in such a special project for Miss May, and we want veterans to know how thankful we are for their service and how appreciative we are of their sacrifice." Chris Frias from Twin Rivers Habitat for Humanity said it's inspiring to see the community rally around a veteran and bring this project to life. This is a testament to our community's devotion to helping those in need. For more information or to learn how you can get involved, visit www.roofdeploymentproject.com. In sports, the St. Edmunds Gales softball team will be in action tonight, taking on AGWSR in Ackley in the second round of the playoffs. The Gales got an 8-3 win over Riceville on Monday. You can hear all the action of the Gales taking on AGWSR. First pitch scheduled at 7 p.m. That game over on Sunny 99.7. Fort Dodge softball with a doubleheader sweep last night of West Des Moines Valley. The Dodgers got a fourth-inning explosion for 7 runs to propel them to a 12-10 win in the first game. In the nightcap, pitching and defense the difference, a 6-2 victory over the Tigers, as Haley Wills was on the mound and went the distance for the Dodgers, allowing just 2 runs on 7 hits over 7 innings of work. The Dodgers are back in action on Saturday night in the first round of the playoffs at Harlan Rogers. That's your Alpha Media News and Sports update for today, July the 10th. From the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. High of 78 this afternoon under mainly cloudy skies. Winds out of the northwest 20 to 25 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies. Tonight, lows dip down to about 61. Mainly sunny again. Tomorrow, high temperatures reach up to 80. Upper 80s Friday and Saturday with a chance for scattered storms Saturday. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 79.
From the Fox Business Network, it was a record day on Wall Street while the Nasdaq finished at an all-time high. The S&P 500 crossed 3,000, first time ever on Wednesday before closing just a little bit shy of that. The Dow had a strong day as well. Parents already thinking about the school year as a new survey by Deloitte finds shoppers plan to spend $27.8 billion, which works out to $519 per student on back-to-school purchases this year. That's almost 2% more than last year. Now, while most of the spending will be for clothes and accessories, electronic gadgets like smartphones and tablets are set to see the biggest increase, up $800 million from 2018. And you may want to reconsider the dream location for your golden years, because a new report out from Bankrate says the number one place to retire is now Nebraska. Major factors include affordability and the weather. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Connell McShane.
Prescription products require an online physician consultation and are only available if the physician determines a prescription is appropriate. See website for full details.
Hey guys, good news. The expensive Little Blue pill is now generic, which means you can get the prescription medication to treat ED at affordable prices. And now get your first month supply for just $5 at 4hims.com/Chris. Hims connects you with real doctors online who can prescribe the medication, and a pharmacy sends it right to your door. So easy. To get your first order for just $5, you need to go to 4hims.com/Chris. That's 4hims.com/Chris.
You. Yeah, you. Hey, you want to win $1 million? Wild Rose Casino and Resort presents the Tournament of Champions. This is a one-of-a-kind slot tournament bringing out the best, and we need you to represent us in fabulous Las Vegas to play for $1 million. Qualify in our Friday night slot tournaments now through July 26. Get all the info online at wildroseresorts.com. You'd rather be here.
Must be 21 or older. If you or someone you know needs gambling treatment, call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. It's 447 and 76 degrees. Obituaries coming up.
I remember a teacher that I had. Now I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And I used to. This is true. I work in the summer. I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time. Anyhow, he had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher, Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell. And he says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester. And it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity. Allegiance, my love and my devotion to the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose. And that's love for country. And to the republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people. And it's from the people to the leaders. not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. So I'd play that one more time, considering the U.S. women's soccer team, talented women who seem to have no appreciation at all. Somebody like Red Skelton, who had to leave home at 10 because he was hungry, does have love and appreciation. These people don't. Weather forecast: sunny with a high of 79. We're at 79 right now. Isolated showers overnight, mostly cloudy, then becoming gradually more clear with a low of 60. Tomorrow it's going to be sunny with a high of 82. Friday, sunny with a high of 90. On Saturday, a chance of rain, then sunny with a high of 88. Sunday, partly sunny with a high of 90. Monday, sunny with a high of 91. And on Tuesday, it'll be sunny with a high of 92 degrees. Right now, 79 degrees at AM 1400, KVFD, the voice for Dodge. Obituaries this hour brought to you by the historic Bruce's Funeral Home at 923 First Avenue South, Fort Dodge. You may contact the historic Bruce's Funeral Home by calling 515-576-5117 or online at www.brucesfuneralhome.com. Dick Ruge has died at the age of 90. There will be a funeral service for Dick Ruge at 11 o'clock in the morning Friday at the First Presbyterian Church here in Fort Dodge. Peggy Moore has died at the age of 95. Margaret Peggy Moore has died. There will be a funeral service for Peggy Moore at 11 o'clock in the morning on Monday at Corpus Christi Church here in town. Obituaries this hour brought to you by the historic Bruce's Funeral Home at 923 First Avenue South, Fort Dodge. You may contact the historic Bruce's Funeral Home by calling 515-576-5117 or online at www.brucesfuneralhome.com. It's 4:52.
Thrifty White Community Health Corner. It's summer. Planning a day in the sun? Be sun smart. Skin cancer, one of the most common cancers in the U.S., but it can be prevented. Protect yourself from ultraviolet rays by wearing sunscreen on all exposed skin, even on cloudy days. Wear protective clothing along with a hat and sunglasses. Sit in the shade during midday hours and reapply sunscreen throughout the day as the effectiveness wears off over time. If you have a health question, stop in and talk with your local Thrifty White pharmacist.
Divine Intervention is online at yourfortdodge.com, on Twitter at JMike1400.
This week on the Iowa Watch Connection.
Everything a governor does, a secretary of agriculture does, but they get to do it in 50 states and around the world. So what's not to like about that job?
He served Iowa in Des Moines and Washington.
In Washington, D.C., and frankly, around the country, there just is not the appreciation, the level of understanding on the part of folks about what rural America provides.
And he has some thoughts on public service.
From my perspective, if you stay in a position for a long, long period of time, there is a tendency of the system to think, okay, we now know how he thinks, how he operates, and so there's only one way to do something.
A conversation with Tom Vilsack, our topic this week.
The Iowa Watch Connection is presented by the Iowa Center for Public Affairs Journalism, online at iowawatch.org. Here is Jeff Stein.
Tom Vilsack was born in a Roman Catholic Orthodox